Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's NCAA Division I baseball contest between the Jacksonville Dolphins and your Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Let's get ready to meet today's lineup, beginning with the Dolphins of Jacksonville University. Leading things off is playing shortstop, number 2, Chase Malloy. Malloy, shortstop. Batting second in the order, playing center field, number 12, Cam Rivers, center field. Batting third in the order, playing third base, number 34, Chris Armstrong, third base. The cleanup hitters in the Jacksonville Dolphins, number 38, Hogan McIntosh, batting fifth in the order, playing second base, number 6, Justin Maybe, second base. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 15, Chandler Howard, the designated hitter. Batting seventh, and playing the right field, number 14, Ethan Campbell, right field. Batting eighth, at first base, number 8, Colin Wetterau at first base. Rounding out batting order for the Dolphins in left field, number 10, Elias Flowers in left field. Starting pitcher for the Dolphins tonight. Finished up the warm-up in the bullpen. Number 28, right-hander Richard Long, the starter for the Jacksonville Dolphins. Head coach of the Dolphins is Chris Hayes. And now the starting lineup for the Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats. Leading things off with playing third base, number 5, Luis Tolero, third base. Batting second in playing center field, number 34, Garrett John, center field. Batting third in the order, the designated hitter, number 4, Highland Hall, 58. The cleanup hitter, first baseman, number 31, Robert Moya, first base. Batting fifth in the order and playing left field, number 35, Boris Pena, left field. Batting sixth and behind the dish, number 43, Jorge Braceras, the catcher. Batting seventh, right fielder, number 24, Jason Hodges, right field. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, number 25, Jeremy Garcia, shortstop. Rounding up the batting order for the Wildcats and playing second base, number 2, Colton Olsen, second base. The starting pitcher for the Wildcats tonight, right-hander number 21, Santiago Gomez, the starting pitcher for the Wildcats. Of the Wildcats is Jonathan Hernandez. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and gentlemen remove your caps as we pay tribute to this great nation with the playing of our national anthem.
Well, live from historic Jackie Robinson Ballpark, home of the Daytona Tortugas and the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, it's time for Wildcats Baseball right here on the Cat Eye Network. Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Michael Trubin. I'm happy to have your company. Happy to have the company of a Bryce Hoynoski, who does not have to do stats tonight and can focus fully on the baseball game at hand. Bryce, the first of 13 games at home for the Wildcats this month. It's going to be a busy month here at the Jack.
Going to be a grind for sure, Mike. It's a testament to the Tortugas, who will be starting to come poke around here in the ballpark come the beginning of April. So the Wildcats making sure they fit in all their home games here when they can so that they can avoid having to go to some municipal parks nearby and avoid conflicts. So it's going to be a grind for the Wildcats, a good place to start conference play. We'll see what kind of start they can get out to this weekend. But before that, we got a big one here tonight at Jacksonville.
The Jacksonville Dolphins come in at 11-6, haven't played an ASUN conference game yet. Their starting pitcher will be Richard Long. But before that, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats coming in at 8-8, having dropped the last 4 contests on the road against Florida State and South Carolina. They start Santiago Gomez. He is 0-1 with a 27 ERA. 2 starts in 3 appearances, no complete games. Only tossed 4 1/3 in his 3 appearances. 13 runs on 13 hits, 7 strikeouts, and 3 walks. The junior from San Diego, California. Here's the Jacksonville lineup. The shortstop, Chase Malloy, leads things off, batting second, the center fielder, Cam Ridley. Batting third, the third baseman, Chris Armstrong. Batting fourth, the catcher, Hogan McIntosh. Batting fifth, the second baseman, Justin Nadeau. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, Chandler Howard. Batting seventh, the right fielder, Ethan Campbell. Batting eighth, the first baseman, Colin Wetterow. Batting ninth is Elias Flowers, and I already mentioned that Richard Long is their starting pitcher. A couple of changes for the Wildcats today. Luis Chuero leads off and plays third. Garrett Chun plays center field and bats second as Chase Malloy stands in. No relation to Colin Malloy, the lead singer of the Decemberists. And the first pitch of the evening is just upstairs for ball 1.
Be particularly interesting, Mike. We've got Boris Pena out in left field making his 3rd appearance out there this season. It's a bit of a windy day here. We'll see how he handles it out there in a newer spot.
Chopped back to the screen, the count 1-1. Wind blowing straight in off the Tomoka River on a cool but sunny Florida afternoon. Skied foul down the right field line. That will make the seats count 1-2. Malloy, a .288 hitter, has played all 17 games for the Dolphins. He scored 19 runs on 17 hits with 16 runs batted in from the top of the lineup. 1-2. Upstairs, 2-2. Santiago Gomez, the California kid from San Diego, and played at San Diego City College before coming to Bethune-Cookman. His 2-2 offering is upstairs and in, so we'll do it again. 3-2.
Wildcats still looking for their first midweek win of the season, but when you play a gauntlet like they have, I'm sure we'll get into it. It can be tough to find one.
Upstairs is Gomez misses. And the first runner for the Dolphins is aboard. And here's Cam Ridley, a .323 hitter. 21 hits, 19 runs scored, 14 RBIs. He's got 2 home runs on the season. The power in the order is coming up next with Chris Armstrong, who has 7 homers on the year for the Dolphins. First pitch from Gomez, and he'll turn and fire to first and require Malloy to jump back in. The numbers don't really favor Santiago Gomez. With his 27 ERA, there's a strike, and the count 0-1.
2 starts have been midweekers against some of the toughest competition here in the state of Florida, so you'll see a couple of guys like that for the Wildcats this season. Kind of the tough luck of the draw there for them, but it's an all-hands-on-deck night every weeknight out here for sure.
I mentioned this is the start of a 13-game homestand, as that pitch is inside. Count 1-1. They'll play Alabama State this weekend at a 3-game set to open SWAC play. Then Mississippi Valley State the 24th through the 26th, and then Florida A&M the 31st through April 2nd. And sandwiched in between those games are 3 really tough non-conference games against Florida opponents. Tonight against Jacksonville, the 21st against Stetson, and the 28th against the South Florida Bulls.
Wildcats held their own in some of those contests last year, split with Jacksonville, took 2 of 3 from Stetson. They certainly know how to hold their own within the state of Florida, except maybe when you get into the super high-powered ones.
Well, Florida State and Florida will play both this year. We've already played the Seminoles. Fell 10-1 a week ago today up in Tallahassee.
All part of the grind for Coach Hernandez and his guys, getting them prepped, seeing what the highest level of baseball in the state and some of which in the country has to offer.
3-1 offering from Santiago Gomez, and that's a strike. And Cam Ridley was almost on his way to first, thinking that was ball 4. Cam Ridley, second on the team with 3 doubles on the season. He swings and misses at the upstairs fastball, and down on strikes goes Ridley, and there's 1 away.
Nice pitch there. Batter tried to hold up. A little excuse me type swing. Kind of knew halfway through there. Not going to happen.
I think we call that a sword.
We do.
In the business.
8th strikeout of the season for Gomez.
And here is Chris Armstrong, who mentioned the power in the Dolphins lineup. Armstrong, the lefty, hammers that one down the first base line. It's going to be fair and get all the way to the wall, 325 feet down the line. Holding up at third is Malloy, and Armstrong into second with a first pitch swinging double, and there's runners on second and third with 1 man out.
Going to be tough here with Wildcats. You know, kind of been beat up for the last handful of games. Kind of thing you want to try to avoid. You know, settle it down, relax, play your game. You got beat up in the past, but some tough opponents really have to lock in and right the ship, especially with conference play coming up. So we'll see how they handle a little bit of pressure here to start this one.
And with only 4.1 innings pitched and 3 appearances for Santiago Gomez, we could see the rotating door of the bullpen here tonight for the Wildcats. Somebody's already warming up there down the third base line in maroon and gold. First pitch to Hogan McIntosh is to first. Fielding and firing is Moya, but a run does score. So Colin Malloy crosses the plate. McIntosh is out 3-1.
That's going to be Gomez's game if he continues to have success here for the Wildcats. He wasn't a big strikeout guy in his time before BCU. Struck out 66 batters in 76 innings at San Diego City College. So he's going to thrive on the ground out, getting guys to bite on things. So we'll see if he can use that to his advantage here.
2 outs now with Chris Armstrong on third. Armstrong with the RBI, well, not an RBI, but to set up the RBI with the 1-out double down the right field line. Olison playing well on the outfield turf out of his second base spot as the pitch goes outside. This is Justin Nadeau. Nadeau, a freshman, hitting .262. 11 hits, 3 runs, 5 RBI. As he looks to extend the early lead for the Dolphins. The 1-1 upstairs, and it's 2-1.
Gomez 3 walks thus far on the season.
4 now.
Make it 4.
Yeah, because Chase Malloy led off with the walk and scored. The 2-1. Chopped foul down the first baseline.
Bullpen activity is quieted down for the Wildcats.
I believe that was Marcos Gamboa who was warming up earlier. He's still standing out there, but he's not throwing.
Former football player here at BCU.
The 2-2 is skied into the Tomoka River down the third baseline. As I mentioned, it is a blustery, kind of cool night. Beautiful night for baseball. It's not overly hot like it was last home series against Longwood, where temperatures were up in the high 80s the whole weekend.
Got that extra hour light, daylight savings.
Here's the 2-2. Another one chopped into the Tomoka River down the left field line. There's a graveyard of baseballs all around this stadium, which is surrounded on all sides by water.
Always interesting to see on a walk out of here after a game at night. The tide goes out, just a mountain of balls out in the middle of the water.
Jutsu, swing and a miss. Nadeau down on strikes, and that's the end of the inning. 1 run on 1 hit and 1 left aboard. We go to the bottom of the first. Dolphins 1, Wildcats coming about right here on the Cat Eye Network. The sophomore from Orange Park, Florida, Richard Long, toes the rubber for the Jacksonville Dolphins today. Played his high school ball at both Ridgeview and Clay High Schools in the Orlando area. And BCU will be led off by Luis Torero. I didn't go through their entire lineup in the last half inning. I'll do that for you now. Torero leads off. Garrett Chun bats second. Highland Hall third. Robert Moya fourth. Boris Pena fifth. George Braceras sixth. Jason Hodges seventh. Jeremy Garcia eighth. And Colton Olison ninth. So a couple of new names in the lineup from the last time the Wildcats were here at the Jack. And a leadoff first pitch strike looking to Luis Torero. Torero, 375 hitter, best on the team. He's got 24 hits, 14 runs scored, 9 RBIs.
Been outstanding in the leadoff spot for the Wildcats. Exactly what you want. 429 on base percentage.
Long's 1-1 is grounded outside of first, and the count 1-2. Torero, last game we were here against Longwood, had 3 hits and scored a run. So had a very productive outing in that eventual loss for the Wildcats, although they did come back to take the series.
One of 3 guys to start every game for the Wildcats thus far this season.
That one is laced to left field, but on a line for Flowers, who makes the catch, and there's one away.
Like we said, Wildcats scored 3, 5, and 3 in games against South Carolina last weekend. It's the kind of game you can't let the stats discourage you. Maybe the way the bats are swinging against some of the toughest competition in the country. You just kind of have to play your game, settle back down, get into a flow, and score some runs.
First pitch to Garrett Chun, a 308 hitter. 16 hits, 14 runs, only 2 RBI. Here's the defensive lineup for Jacksonville as the 0-1 is grounded up the middle, and it gets through the glove of Malloy into center. So there's a base hit for Chun.
Not the easiest play for the shortstop there, but didn't really have any hop to it. I'm surprised he didn't come up with that one in the glove. Just slid right on the outside edge. But it will be a base hit.
Wildcats swinging early in counts and not letting me get to my point.
It's been their MO a lot early this season.
Here's Highland Hall, a junior, transfer from Washington State, averaging 306, 15 hits, 12 runs scored, 8 RBIs as he takes a pitch high and away. Here's the defensive lineup for Jacksonville. Flowers, Ridley, and Campbell left to right on the outfield. Armstrong, Malloy, Ladeau, and Wetterow across the infield left to right. The battery, McIntosh catching, and Richard Long is pitching. Strike on the outside corner, count 1-1. Richard Long, 12.2 innings pitched in 4 appearances, 2 of those starts this year, with a .497 ERA, 10 runs, 7 earned, 6 hits, 10 strikeouts, 6 walks. So he has been pretty darn efficient as somebody who mostly came out of the pen last year and only pitched 16 and a third innings. He's almost up to that before conference play. Hall skies this one to left. Flowers 10 steps in, makes the catch, and they're 2 away, and 2 flyouts to left.
Wind certainly stopped that one. Not sure it had home run distance either way, but you could definitely see it pushed backwards by the wind.
With the wind
blowing
coming
straight in.
With the wind coming in like it is, I think the Wildcats hitters are going to try and want to put the ball on the ground and get base hits through the infield like we saw Chun do. Here is Robert Moya, a .286 hitter. 16 hits, 11 runs, 9 RBIs. He takes a pitch on the outside corner for a strike.
Another guy started every game for the Wildcats this season, been very solid, splitting time at first base and DH.
Moya is one of 4 Wildcats this season with a home run as he drives this one foul down the left field line, 0-2. Wildcats as a team have only hit 8 homers, and the only one with 2, Manny Sufrain, not in the starting lineup tonight.
Of course, both of those Sufrain homers came in the same game. So they've been hard to come by. Of course, this is not the best park for it.
Swing and a miss and a 3-pitch strikeout for Moya. And the Wildcats go quietly. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. And we head to the second. 1-0 Dolphins right here on the Cat Eye Network. A lot of local opposition this season for the Wildcats at Jackie Robinson Ballpark as head coach Chris Hayes brings his Dolphins just over an hour south from Jacksonville. Hayes in his 7th season at the head coach of JU has won 160 games and made 2 NCAA regionals and 2 ASUN championships in his time with the Dolphins.
No small feat there. The ASUN is a nice little baseball conference. You've got FGC, who's always competitive. Stetson, of course, made a super regional back in 2018. There's a handful of programs down there that can really get it done. And so there, to come out of it, to be competitive in that conference is certainly saying something.
There is also Lipscomb in that conference, Jacksonville State in that conference. Not
anymore.
Well,
same with Liberty. They've terrorized everybody for a few years. They're on their way out.
Chandler Howard, the designated hitter, leads off for Jacksonville, takes a strike on the outside corner to open up his at-bat. Howard, a .232 hitter, in 13 hits, 11 runs scored, 10 RBIs. This is a Jacksonville club that scores a lot of runs. 17 against High Point, 13 against Georgia Southern, 11 against Butler. Swinging strike on the count, 1-2. This is also a Jacksonville team with some feather in their cap victories. They beat Florida State in Tallahassee and Florida in Gainesville and Miami in Coral Gables. Ground ball to short. A nice pick by Moya at first as Garcia's throw went a little wide, but there is 1 away.
Jacksonville, the 2nd highest ranked ASUN team in RPI. They're ranked 77th. Certainly got some respect nationally there.
I was reading the wrong schedule for the Dolphins, excuse me, but they did lose to Florida State, but they did beat Florida and Miami so far this season. So a couple of big wins for the Dolphins. Chopped toward third. That'll be a fair ball. Played by Tuero.
Called foul.
Called foul. Wow. I couldn't see where that one went from.
Mike, I like to think I'm not blind. That one was several feet inside the line. I have no idea, unless maybe it bounced right off the bat and just kicked hard. It looked nowhere near foul.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. But the count is 0-1. Even though it didn't count, nice scoop by Tuero. As this Wildcats defense really prides itself on not making the flashy plays, but just being consistent, getting the ground outs.
Team that will be all year based on pitching and defense.
The 0-1 in there for a strike, and Ethan Campbell quickly in an 0-2 hole. Campbell, a 167 hitter, the lowest average on the starting lineup today for the Dolphins. Just one hit, no runs, 1 RBI. And I don't think we can see it with our camera, but there is action in the Jacksonville bullpen. Swing and a pop foul from Campbell.
Meanwhile, the BCU bullpen back to quiet after some activity last inning. Going to see if Gomez can settle down and get some outs here.
1-2. Upstairs, 2-2. After this, the Dolphins will head to Nashville, Tennessee for a matchup with Lipscomb. 3 games set to open A-Sun play. Just like the Wildcats will open up conference play at the weekend with a 3-game set against Alabama State, who features to be one of the Wildcats' biggest opponents in the SWAC this season. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes is Ethan Campbell. 3rd strikeout of the game for Gomez.
Mentioned Alabama State, a team that took down the Wildcats in the SWAC playoffs a season ago. Wildcats had the opportunity to force a doubleheader for a chance to go to the championship. Just a little worn down by a lot of games out there, having lost an early one. So they'll look for some revenge this weekend and certainly later on in May.
Here is Colin Wetterow as he swings and misses at a pitch downstairs by the ankles. 0-1. Wetterow, 268 hitter. He's played all 17 games for the Dolphins. 15 hits, 11 runs, 6 RBIs. And the count 1-1. The SWAC baseball tournament moving this year. Way outside, 2-1.
Yeah, moving to Atlanta, Georgia, the campus of Georgia Tech, after played on the field of the Birmingham Barons last season. Really nice little complex out there for sure.
2-1, upstairs 3-1. I'm excited, though. That Georgia Tech facility looks really nice in the pictures I've seen, and perhaps we will be there calling games for the Wildcats if they make it. Who knows?
If all goes according to plan, they figure to be right there with everybody else.
Yep. Second walk of the game issued by Gomez, as it's a 5-pitch walk to Wetterow. And here's the 9-hole hitter, Elias Flowers. Flowers, a 229 hitter. 8 hits, 11 runs, 8 RBIs. He has struck out 6 times and been walked 8, so most of the time when he stands in, he ends up either going to first on a free pass or heading back to the dugout.
Kind of the name of baseball in 2023. Adding some home runs there, and you've got a textbook hitter.
Called 3 true outcome baseball. Strikeout, walk, or home run.
It is the worst. But
the
it does work.
The Wildcats don't really embody that. They play a lot of small ball on offense. A lot of bunts, try to move runners over. The 1-1. Strike on the outside corner, 1-2. And Gomez a strike away from getting out of the inning with minimal damage. From the stretch, the right-hander deals. Swing and a miss at a fastball inside corner fourth strikeout in 2 innings for Gomez. No runs, no hits, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Dolphins right here on the Cat Eye Network. To the bottom of the second we go. Wildcats trail 1-0 to the Jacksonville Dolphins. Boris Pena leads off the second for the Wildcats, and he drills this one up the middle. There's a base hit just off the outstretched glove of Long. First pitch swinging again for the Wildcats. They have their second base hit of the game, both of them right up the middle.
Boris Pena. Boris Pena continuing a strong start to his season at the plate. Wildcats leading RBI getter. Getting on base.
11 RBIs on the season for Pena. Here's a newcomer to the lineup, the catcher George Braceras. First pitch, swing and a miss, and the ball that was in the opposite batter's box to the right-hander. Braceras only playing his 8th game of the season tonight. 8 hits, 5 runs scored, 9 RBI. And the 0-1, swing and a miss at a fastball away again, and it's quickly 0-2. Wildcats not scared to take the bat off their shoulders early tonight.
They also are quietly the SWAC's best base stealing team to start this season. They've only been caught once. They're a bit more selective this year than they were last year, running wildly, but they've picked their spots well.
Outside 1-2 as Braceras holds off. Last year, these two teams split. Both teams taking their home leg of the home and home. The 1-2, chop foul, count holds. But Jacksonville is typically on top when these two teams get together. When Chris Hayes is at the reins, he's 7-2 all time against the Wildcats in the last 6 years. Swung on, liner up the middle, base hits. 2 straight base hits to center field. Digging for third is Pena, and he slides in safely. Base hit by Braceras. Pena moves to third, runners on the corners with nobody out.
Great piece of hitting there from Braceras. He figures to be an awesome platoon option behind all SWAC's Irvin Escobar this year, but he's providing some serious pop behind the plate that the Wildcats didn't see a lot of last year. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in his first campaign here at BCU.
And all 3 Wildcat base hits have been right back up the middle. The center fielder, Ridley for Jacksonville, is getting a lot of work in early on in this ball game. Here is Jason Hodges, another name that'll be new to listeners of the Cat Eye Network. And the first pitch to him, foul back to the screen. Hodges, 143 hitter in his 10th appearance of the season. 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 RBI, and 28 at-bats. He struck out 15 times. But a big opportunity here to even the odds with the Wildcats down 1-0. And he takes a strike, and it's quickly 0-2.
Hodges originally attended Arkansas before he transferred to a junior college, so he's got the pedigree for sure.
And he flies that one right back up the middle. It bounces in front of Ridley, and walking in to score is Boris Pena.
You're not kidding, Mike. Every single this inning has looked exactly the same. A little bit off of second base, floating over the head of the infield out into center. You'll take it any way you can get it. They've been pretty textbook seeing eye singles for the Wildcats.
Braceras moves to second, 3 straight singles up the middle, and the Wildcats have tied the game 1-1. And here is Jeremy Garcia. Garcia, a .293 hitter, 12 hits, 7 runs, 5 RBIs. And the lefty bunts it right back to the mound. Throwing to third in time for 1 is Long, so they get the lead runner as Braceras is thrown out on the base paths. It is a fielder's choice that moves Garcia to first and Hodges to second and brings up Colton Olison, who is an absolute stud, both at second base and in the 9-hole spot.
Olson, a guy, started 16 games for the Wildcats. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts every single one here this season. Got some clutch in him, an outstanding 9-hitter, a lot more than a 9-hitter really, but he anchors that spot for BCU.
Olison takes outside 1-0. Colton, .286 the average, 14 hits, 7 runs, 7 RBI. And he has the lowest strikeout ratio of anybody on this starting lineup. Only been K'd 6 times this season.
Very disciplined hitter, very patient hitter. Only hit .238 a season ago. He's really enjoyed some serious success at the plate to start this season. We'll see if it continues, but he has the attitude, he has the leadership, he has the makeup, and everything that Coach Jonathan Hernandez wants in his second baseman.
Tipped into the glove, and the count 2-1. Olison still far ahead of the count. 2 on and 1 out here for the Wildcats, 1 in already. Olison skies this one high in the air to right, not deep. Moving over Campbell, he makes the catch. Tagging and trying to go to third is Hodges. He will get there in time as he slides under the tag. Nice rocket throw by Ethan Campbell out there in right field, but Hodges just had enough speed to get in there.
Kind of makes the bunt decision earlier in this inning a difficult one. Didn't really do anything to advance the runner. Kind of a tough one. Not a bad bunt by Garcia, but the decision to do it hasn't really helped the Wildcats out here, facing 2 outs now. Runners in scoring position and runners left on base have really haunted the Wildcats early this season.
Runners on the corners with 2 down, back to the top of the lineup for Tuero. Fly to left his first time up. Ball outside, count 0-1. Ball in the dirt, and it's 2-0. The senior from Hialeah, Florida, as so many of these Wildcats are, as that is
Hotbed recruiting for Coach Hernandez. It's his hometown.
Yep.
Hits it hard, has a lot of success down there.
Strike at the knees, 2-1. And the Wildcats being a little bit more disciplined at the plate this inning. Last inning, swinging at first and second pitches willy-nilly and went down 4 batters in.
After the last week they've had, a little discipline will certainly help settle everybody down.
Low 3-1, so Tuero, if he doesn't get one right down the middle, probably won't lift the bat off his shoulder here. His career hitting statistics is .387 at Bethune-Cookman. Line drive and just foul down the first base line. Man, if that had gotten home, that would have scored 2.
No doubt.
But now the count runs full to Tuero. Long trying to get out of the inning with just the 1 run of damage. The Wildcats have scored that run on 3 hits so far. It's outside on the 3-2, so the first walk of the game issued by Long puts Tuero aboard. And the bases are loaded with 2 gone, and here's Garrett Chun. Chun had the only base hit in the first inning, a rocket right back up the middle that went off of Long's glove. Big chance here for Chun with the bases loaded. Chun also went to Clay High School. He chops that one off the inside of the bat. It's a foul ball because it hit him in the leg, I believe. But he obviously in pain walking away from the batter's box.
Another tough one from up here. I missed it right off the bat, but kind of similar to the other one we saw. Must have hit him off the leg.
As he faces his fellow Clay High School Blue Devil, Richard Long. I'm not sure they were at Clay together. Long only a sophomore in college, Chun a junior.
Chun spent plenty of time in Jacksonville, Florida State College of Jacksonville, St. John's River College.
That one is laced into left, but it will hang in the air long enough for Flowers to get it in. 1 run, 3 hits, and the bases left loaded. The Wildcats have tied the game. It's 1-1 headed to the third right here on the Cat Eye Network. Back to the top of the order for the Jacksonville Dolphins in a 1-1 contest here at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Chase Malloy walked and scored the Dolphins' only run in the first, and he takes a strike at the knees on the outside corner, 0-1. Malloy from Trenton, Florida, a senior at Jacksonville. Last year started all 55 games for the Dolphins at shortstop, and has started all their games this year. And he hits this one high and foul. And that will bounce off the concourse and splash down into the Tomoka River. He got all of that one just a little bit early on the trigger there.
Wind certainly won't help. Blowing directly at us.
That one's hit off the end of the bat and foul the other way, so its count holds at 1-2. Malloy second on the team in RBI with 16. Second only to Chris Armstrong's 19, and he swings, and that's another foul ball off a batter's leg or foot.
He didn't look phased by that one, but I did see that one hit off of him. Lower leg. Got some weird bounces off the bat here early.
Malloy hasn't played his entire collegiate career at Jacksonville. Started at St. John's River State College and was the Mid-Florida Conference Defensive Player of the Year in 2021. This time the 1-2 is ripped to deep left field, and that ball is caught. Oh no, it's off the wall. Pena almost hauled that one in. You mentioned that Boris is not really used to playing left field and couldn't quite haul that one in as Malloy doubles deep down the left field line.
Of course, we all know watching baseball growing up that when you see a new fielder in a new spot, the ball has a way of finding you. Certainly not an easy play for Pena to make. I'm not even sure an experienced left fielder out there makes that one. Just a ball that tailed a little bit to the left. Quick hit, hard hit. It's going to be off the wall. We'll see what else Pena can do here tonight. But between the wind and a ball hit like that, tough to ask for a guy who's only making his 4th appearance out there this season.
I thought he caught the ball. The ball went into the shadows that are kind of coming off the left field walls. The sun sets behind us here at Jackie Robinson Ballpark.
I think it was just out of his reach. Maybe a ball or two length away from his glove.
It kicked off the wall and ran away from Pena. That allowed Malloy to get to second base, and he thought about third as well. The 1-0 to Ridley, chopped toward third. Torero looks back. Malloy and fires to first in time, 1 away. So here's Chris Armstrong. He's got the RBI, doubled home Chase Malloy in the first inning. And that one went all the way down to the right field corner and hit just under the 325 sign, just off camera to the right. Gomez got to shake it off, and it's high and shallow. That's not going to make it out of the infield. Olison comes in, one-handed makes the catch, and they're 2 away.
Never a doubt that Olison will always be the guy to make those plays out there for the Wildcats. He'll call off anything in between second base and the visiting dugout. He's that kind of second baseman, but it's a good problem to have over there. As long as somebody's taking charge, he makes some long runs, but he makes the play more often than not.
I remember a couple of times last game we did against Longwood that actually Garcia and Moya called him off a couple of times. Here is McIntosh, grounded out to the pitcher his first time up. I stand corrected. It's actually McIntosh that has the RBI. That ground out was the one that allowed Malloy to score from third.
Gomez on the mound. Certainly settled down a bit after the first inning. Kind of found somewhat of a groove. Only 2 hits allowed.
The 0-1. Strike called, 0-2.
Gomez has done a pretty good job of locating here early. Definitely a confidence booster for a guy who had a tough draw to start this season.
McIntosh, a senior from Mitchellville, Iowa, and a transfer from Charleston Southern. We were talking about good mid-major baseball programs before we started tonight. That's another really solid mid-major program. Off the end of the bat and through the right side. Coming home is Malloy. Here's the throw to the plate. It is offline, and Malloy scores for the second time today. It is 2-1 Jacksonville. That just was poked right off the end of the bat and found the gap as Olison was shading towards second base.
Nice piece of hitting. Not much you can do about it. Try to limit the damage here with 2 away.
Here's Justin Nadeau, struck out swinging his first time. I didn't get to his numbers because he ended the first inning. Nadeau, 262 hitter, 11 hits, 3 runs, 5 RBI, excuse me. As Gomez checks the runner at first. Nadeau, the freshman from local Bartram Trail High School in the St. Johns County, Jacksonville area. St. Augustine, up there in northeast Florida. Bartram Trail, the Bears. And I thought I recognized his name because he is the Volusia Flagler St. John's Player of the Year last season.
That is a mouthful of an award.
That award presented by a combination of sports writers from the Daytona Beach News Journal and the St. Augustine Record. My good friend Chris Boyle, who heads up that operation. That pitch is way outside, and the count 2-0. And we will have a meeting on the mound as the whole infield comes in to talk to Santiago Gomez, led by George Braceras.
No activity in the BCU pen. Marcos Gamboa was throwing early, but we haven't seen him in the last 2 innings or so.
Yeah. We thought maybe because Gomez got in trouble in the first inning with the walk to Malloy and then the base hit and the ground out to score the run. We thought maybe he might not last very long, but his second inning was better. Didn't allow a hit, but now there's 2 hits and a run in the inning. Both hits have been very hard off the bat, as now Nadeau stands in with a 2-0 count. And Gomez deals outside 3-0. Gomez already issued 2 walks today to Malloy, who scored in the first, and in the second to Colin Wetterow, who was stranded there by 2 strikeouts. And that pitch, which Nadeau never took the bat off his shoulder, never was gonna, just missed upstairs, and it's a 3rd walk issued by Gomez, which doubles his walks total for the season.
And that's kind of what you worry about on these spot midweek starts. When you start to get into trouble with high pitch counts, walking guys, especially in uncompetitive at-bats like that, that's when you really end your night quickly. Still no activity for BCU in the pen.
Swing and a miss at a breaking ball. This is Chandler Howard, who represents the 5th batter of the inning. Howard, the designated hitter, grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. And the pitch is outside, 1-1. This is a team in the Wildcats, Bryce, we were talking beforehand, that really doesn't have the depth of pitching that maybe Coach Hernandez would like. So you were saying these midweek starts are kind of tough to plan for as a coach when you really want your guys' best arms for the midweek, for the weekend series.
And it's like that across college baseball. A lot of bullpen games. You know, it's rare to find a really special midweek starter just because you're going to save your guys for the conference series. So we saw a lot of this last year. No one really emerged as a consistent midweek starter for the Wildcats. But like you say, they do have some work to do as far as depth in the pen for the weekends. Nights like this.
Ground ball, backhanded at short, throwing across to first. Oh, and the ball skips out of Moya's glove.
Tough play for Moya at first. Probably should have made the play. It took a bounce a good 5 or 6 feet away. Just had his glove closed by the time the hop was there.
They did put an error on the board.
We'll see who that's credited to.
I think it would be credited to Moya because he really should have made that play.
I would have probably given it to Moya. We'll see how.
So now the base is loaded up, where Ethan Campbell struck out in the second. Swing and a miss and a pitch away in the zone, 0-1, and important for the confidence of Santiago Gomez that he gets out of this one.
Play for Howard reeled a throwing error by the shortstop. I guess it's certainly hard to pick on the first baseman for a ball that was ultimately in the dirt.
There's a strike on the inside corner, 0-2. So they credit a throwing error as I change my scorebook. Throwing error to Garcia. Garcia was kind of caught in 2 minds there on that play. He looked to second, but Olsen wasn't covering, so had to go to first. Swing and a miss, and the second strikeout of the game for Ethan Campbell as he ends the inning. 1 run on 3 hits, 1 error, and the bases left loaded. 2-1 Dolphins. We head to the bottom of the 3rd right here on the Cat Eye Network. New pitcher on the hill for the Jacksonville Dolphins as we get to the bottom of the third. Scout Updike, the redshirt freshman from Eustis, Florida, takes to the mound to face the heart of the Wildcats order as we start with Highland Hall. Wildcats sent 7 to the plate in the second, but could only manage 1 run. Hall swings and misses, tried to pull it back and a pitch in the dirt.
Final line for the Dolphins starter, Richard Long. 2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, earned run, a walk, and 1 strikeout.
Updike making his 5th appearance of the season. He's 1-0 with a 1.17 ERA, 7 2/3 innings pitched. Ground ball hit to the shortstop. Beloy fields and fires, and there's 1 away.
Wildcats still swinging early in counts here, especially to start these innings. They've been a little bit more patient as they've put men on base. But interesting for a team, like we said, relies so much on small ball and getting on base. Not afraid to swing the bat.
Now here is Robert Moya, struck out his first time up. Highland Hall flew out to left his first time. It's been a slow start to the year for Hall, and someone who the Wildcat coaching staff was really expecting to be very productive this season. But Hall, 306, not terrible average, 15 hits, 12 runs scored, 8 RBIs, but
the guy who was a star, I say star, he was highly ranked out of the Pac-12, rated the number 121 draft prospect in the Pac-12 by D1 Baseball. He's a perfect game all SWAC guy, as is Moya at the plate.
Moya takes a strike in the count, 2-1.
Of course, no love for either of those guys within the SWAC's conference rankings and preseason teams.
Moya has struck out the most of anybody in the lineup tonight for the Wildcats. 17 of his 56 plate appearances so far, he has walked back to the dugout, and he faces a 2-2 count now. Updike deals low, and it's 3-2.
Not surprised that Moya has those kind of numbers. You're looking at a guy with a build like that. Looks like your prototypical baseball player today, just swinging for the fences. He's a guy that can do it. I'm sure we'll see a lot of him this year, especially in some of these SWAC ballparks.
Now that time it was an off-speed pitch that he could not hold up on. And it's the second strikeout of the game for Moya, and they're quickly 2 away. And here's Boris Pena, who started the base hit to center field rally last inning. There was 3 straight that looked identical right back up the middle that allowed the Wildcats to score their opening run. Now he comes to the plate with nobody on and 2 gone as a pitch gets away from Updike, and it is 1-0. Updike, a redshirt freshman, so he didn't play last year, and that one is lined to center field, and it gets down in front of Ridley, so it's a second straight base hit for Pena, and the Wildcats have a runner aboard with 2 gone.
Make that another base hit. Guess where? Up the middle. This one flared a bit over the infield instead of some of the harder hit balls we've seen earlier, but it goes into the scorebook the same way. Base runner with 2 outs for BCU.
So here's George Brasaris. Brasaris singled and then was caught going to third, trying to tag up on a fly ball to right. And the first pitch is low and outside, 1-0. This one is lined to center field. Moving over and making the catch is Ridley. And that is the end of the inning. 1 run, 1 hit. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. And we head to the 4th inning. It's 2-1 Dolphins. To the fourth we go, and still on the mound is Santiago Gomez for the BCU Wildcats, meaning that this will double the amount of innings pitched for Gomez on the season. Came in only 4 1/3.
Certainly not what you might say is an overly impressive start here, but for a guy who's had to face such tough lineups early in the season, got to be a huge confidence boost to see some strikeouts go down, to get some ground outs, to work a clean inning.
With a guy with a 27 ERA coming in, this would be a big confidence booster to keep a pretty good hitting team like Jacksonville to only 1 run, or 2 runs, excuse me, so far. First pitch to him is outside. Him in question is Colin Wetterow. Walked his first time up and was stranded there by a couple of Ks. Wetterow, a graduate transfer. High pop out of play, and the count 1-1. Play was at St. John's University, and not only did he play baseball for St. John's, he was also the starting quarterback. Talk about a multi-sport athlete. Ground ball up the middle. Olison ranging to his left, backhands and throws. What a nice put out by Colton Olison.
That's what you expect to see out there from the Wildcats second baseman on a night-to-night basis. Makes the difficult play look easy, makes the easy play look even easier. He's a star out there in the field for sure.
Here's Elias Flowers, the junior from Montgomery, Illinois, not Montgomery, Alabama. I get so used to seeing Montgomery, Alabama being a part of the SWAC and seeing a lot of SWAC players come in. That ball is fair. Bunted fair in front of the first base, and making the play is Braceras, and there are 2 away. And from this angle, I thought it hit behind the plate and rolled fair. But
it's been a night of weird hops right in front there. It's 4th or 5th ball that's kind of kicked from there. I do think that one kicked just a foot or so in front of the batter's box on the left-hand side there, but either way.
I'm going to have to go back and look at the tape after this to see.
It's an out either way.
And here is Malloy, who has scored both of the Jacksonville runs today. As he takes the team lead in runs scored up to 21 on the season, surpassing the 19 of Cam Ridley. Second pitch upstairs. First one was fouled away. The count 1-1. Malloy in the first inning walked and scored, and doubled and scored in the third. Here's the 1-1. Ground ball to the shortstop. Throwing on the run, and in time is Garcia. 1, 2, 3 go the Dolphins on a couple of great defensive plays by the middle infield. To the bottom of the fourth we go. 2-1 Dolphins right here on the Cat Eye Network. Bottom of the fourth here from Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Wildcats still chasing a 2-run deficit against the Jacksonville Dolphins, and Jason Hodges leads off. First pitch to him from Updike, who's on for his second inning of work. Hodges fouls it back, 0-1. Hodges, a double transfer, started out at Arkansas and then John A. Logan College before finally arriving at Bethune-Cookman University. He's a junior from Park Forest, Illinois. And he is a draft pick of the Cincinnati Reds back in 2019.
Parent organization of our hometown Daytona Tortugas.
Pitch in the dirt. And it bounces away from the catcher, 1-2. Updike, 1 strikeout last inning, got Moya swinging. This time it's rocketed to third and off the glove of Armstrong, who throws wildly to first. The ball skips to the wall near the Jacksonville dugout, and sliding into second without a throw is Hodges. Not really sure how to score that one.
Fielding error on the third baseman. It still probably would have been a fairly routine out if he collected himself, picked the ball up, threw over to first. Hodges was certainly digging in, but I still think he makes the throw. Kind of a panic, trying to make a SportsCenter top 10 type play over there to save the error. And ended up making it worse.
Well, the error on Armstrong gives Hodges a pass to second base, and the Wildcats now in business. Here's Jeremy Garcia. First pitch to him shows bunt, and the pitch is a strike. Garcia bunted in the second inning, and the fielder's choice allowed, they caught George Braceras on the fielder's choice as he arrived safely at first. The 0-1 rocket into left field. That one's going to get down in front of Flowers. Turning the corner and holding up there is Hodges as the ball flies into the catcher. Beautiful throw from Flowers to prevent the run, but the Wildcats have runners on first and second. Or excuse me, second and third? Did he get the second?
Garcia advanced to second on the throw. That's what you really like to see from Garcia. You know, in the spirit of the Savannah Bananas, we were here just a couple weeks ago. Bunting's boring. Hit one over the infield. Goes over to second. Kind of a tough call for third base coach Jose Carballo over there to hold up Hodges. Maybe could have stretched it. Hodges has some serious speed, but played it safe with no outs here. Probably the right call.
I agree with the call. Here's a bunt, floated, and it gets away from the diving Wittero. It's a run for the Wildcats. Safe at first is Olesen. And it is tied at 2 in a wacky bottom of the fourth.
First baseman trying to plead with the umpire that it didn't hit his glove, which would mean it was a foul ball, but I don't see with the way that it kicked into foul territory how you could make that argument. Jacksonville head coach out here arguing the same. But from up here, it looked fairly clear that it would have had to hit off of his glove.
Hodges scores from third. Garcia advances to third. I'm going to give Olesen a base hit. One of the strangest base hits he might get in his career, but
base hit all the same.
And an RBI. In what was, to be fair, not a great bunt. It popped straight up in the air down the first base line, and the first baseman, Wittero, just couldn't handle it.
Maybe tried to do a little too much, tried to do kind of a sliding play for it. Maybe your best bet was just to let that one bounce and roll foul. I'm not sure. It's tough to say.
Wildcats are back to the top of the order. On first and third, still nobody out. This one chopped toward first. Moving over, and he is out.
Nice
but
play
another
by
run
the catcher.
scores. Garcia scores from third on the ground out. That officially goes 1-3. That was a very late pitch with the glove by Updike to Wittero.
Yeah, Wittero looked a little rattled there with the ball off the bat. Started to come in for it. Pitcher called him off, stumbled a little bit. Looked like he twisted his ankle. But a nice little flip from the pitcher Updike. Gets him bang play.
For a quarter of a second, I thought that Tuero was going to be safe, that the first baseman had his foot off the bag.
It's been that kind of inning.
Kind of inning where anything can happen. I don't hide the fact that I'm a Yankees fan. I listen to their radio broadcast whenever I got a chance. And, well, Bryce, that's baseball, as John Sterling likes to say.
Well, Mike and everybody at the Cat Eye Network, this will be the last time you hear Michael Cirillo on the broadcast. Red Sox fan, not going to allow that to happen. So, Mike, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you around.
1-1 the count to Garrett Chun. Chun fouls it off of his back as it hit the ground and popped right into the small of his back. We've seen some odd bounces in foul territory today. Olesen on second, 1 out. With Hodges and Garcia both having scored in the inning, the Wildcats have taken a 3-2 lead. The 1-2 outside to Chun. Chun hit the base hit up the middle his first time up, and then in the second flied to left. And Updike's 2-2. Hit on a line to left. This is going to be a tough play. It's a fair ball behind Flowers and to the wall. Scoring from second is Olesen. Into second to replace him is Chun. And the Wildcats have a 4-2 lead.
The corners here at the Jack never really know what it's going to do. Both left and right field have a little bit of a different kick to it. That one kind of rattled around down there in left field. Scores runs either way, but a tough play out there for the left fielder.
And that's the first run of the inning that really kind of feels legit, as the Wildcats have taken advantage of a few Jacksonville miscues, but that one was a really hard hit ball opposite way down the left field line. Now here's Highland Hall, takes a pitch in the outside batter's box in the count 1-0. Hall flied out to left and then grounded out to short in his first 2 plate appearances today. And with just 1 away and 3 already in the 4th, Garrett Chun stands on second, ready to take advantage of any potential further miscues by Scout Updike or the Jacksonville defense. And here comes Jacksonville head coach Chris Hayes to talk to his freshman pitcher. And with the kind of offense, Bryce, that the Wildcats, we know they can produce, this kind of inning, it's inevitable, right? It doesn't matter if it's lucky or good or a little bit of both. If you've got hitters to put the ball in play, eventually you're going to score some runs.
And Coach Hernandez, particularly with the setup of this lineup, as well as a handful of guys off the bench, it may not have the pop or the singular guy here or there that can break open an inning, but it's got a lot of depth front to back. Guys who just know how to get on base no matter what it takes. A little bloop single, hard hit double, whatever it takes, the Wildcats can get it done. They've got guys who walk, who are patient hitters. When you have a lineup like that, you can do damage just about from anywhere.
Nobody warming up in the Dolphins bullpen, so it'll be Scout Updike to continue as he misses low and away, 3-0 to Highland Hall. The sun sets behind us here at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. The 3-0 from Updike in there for a strike, as Hall was not taking the bat off his shoulder at all. Floodlights have just come on here at the Jack, as it is a beautiful, if cool, night. 65 degrees at first pitch. And a strike on the outside corner runs the count full. Updike, Hall almost looked like he was getting ready to trot down to first base there.
Certainly a prove-it at bat for the pitcher Updike. Throw me a strike.
Here's the 3-2. And he does, and Hall hits this one high into right field. Campbell moves back, makes the catch, and trying to go to third is Chun, and he gets there easily. Second flyout of the night for Highland Hall, and now with 2 down, here's Robert Moya, the 7th batter to the plate in the inning for Bethune-Cookman. Moya has struck out twice in the first and in the third. So looking for a little bit of redemption, as he did face Updike in the last inning. Struck out. First pitch from Updike to Moya, in there for a strike, upper outside corner. I wonder what the velocity on Updike's fastball is. It looks like he's got a pretty good pop on it, maybe hitting low 90s.
I would say at this level, probably a low 90s type guy. If he picks his spots, that's more than what you need, of course.
The 1-1 upstairs 1-2, and anything on the green bit probably plates Chun from third and extends the Wildcat lead. Right now it's 4-2. Here's the 2-1. Outside, 3-1.
You know, for a Wildcat team that has really struggled with runners on base, runners in scoring position, leaving a lot of guys on base, well, you know, it may not be a necessity to get this run in, say, for the grand scheme of the game. Every little one counts, and to leave one on third is a hard pill to swallow late in the game if you're needing some run support.
Moya looking to get to double digits for RBIs on the season, currently sitting at 9. And a 3-1 from Updike is swung and chopped foul towards the BCU dugout down the third baseline. Count runs full for the second straight batter. And there is now a pitcher in green and gray warming up in the Jacksonville dugout on the first base side. Payoff pitch. Strike 3 called, as they're going to say that Moya went around, and that is his third strikeout of the game, and this one ends the inning, but 3 runs on 3 hits, an error, and 1 left, and the Wildcats have taken the lead after 4. It's 3-2 BCU over Jacksonville right here on the Cat Eye Network. Santiago Gomez currently sitting at 70 pitches as he takes this pretty good start into the 5th inning, as the Wildcats have given him some run support. It's now 4-2 for the hometown team over the Jacksonville Dolphins. Cam Ridley leads off the 5th for JU, wearing all gray tonight, green numbers, black trim, script Dolphins across the chest in green with a flare underneath it. Wildcats in probably my favorite of all of their uniforms, the maroon tops with Wildcats in gold numbers with a white pinstripe pants. Just a beautiful look. Here's the 1-0. Strike on the inside corner, 1-1.
And with the gold unis, while nice making the rotation on Sunday, we don't get to see these maroons nearly as much as we did last year. This was the Sunday kit for BCU last season.
Here's the 1-1. Outside, 2-1.
Certainly had my gripes with Coach Hernandez over the time. All white and all black. May look slick at times, but when you wear maroon and gold, it's just tough to not wear maroon and gold.
This one line to left field and deep. Going back is Hodges. He's got a beat on it, and he makes the catch on the move with, that'd be about 2 feet left to spare before the wall out there in right field. So it's loud, but it's still an out for Cam Ridley, as he has failed to reach base all 3 times he's been aboard. And now here's Chris Armstrong, doubled in the first and popped out to second base in the third. First pitch to him is away outside on the count, 1-0. Armstrong, a graduate student originally from Jupiter, Florida. That ball in the dirt, 2-0.
A lot quieter overnight here. Last few nights around Daytona Beach with the departure of Bike Week and good riddance.
It is a little bit quieter out here. This one chopped towards first. That'll be foul as it barely skips to the right-hand side of the first base bag. Now, Armstrong is a transfer, graduate transfer, but unfortunately the Jacksonville University website does not say where from. There's a strike, low and outside, and the count 2-2. Oh, no, excuse me, I found it. It's a transfer from the University of Florida. So it goes an hour and a half northeast to finish up his college baseball career, and swings and misses at an off-speed offering from Chris Armstrong. Excuse me, from Santiago Gomez, who picks up his 6th strikeout of the game.
Quietly, not an outing that's going to blow you away. You know, he's allowed 6 base runners, 3 via the walk, 3 on hits, but only 2 runs allowed. You would take this from a midweek starter every week.
And here is McIntosh. Grounded out his first time up, then singled in the 3rd, and he chops this one foul to the third base batter's box. If Gomez gets one more strikeout before his evening is done, which we think it might be in short order with Marcos Gamboa warming up for the Wildcats, he will have doubled his strikeout count for the season in one night.
That was pitch number 80 for him of the night. Again, we've talked about it before. Big-time confidence boost for the midweek starter. See what he can put together for the remainder of the season.
Here's the 0-2. Up high, trying to get McIntosh to chase. McIntosh, the transfer from Charleston Southern. Had a couple of multi-hit outings this season against Southeast Louisiana, Miami, and Bradley. As the Dolphins just wrapped up a 3-game set with the Bradley Braves, taking 2 of 3. Back home at John Sessions Stadium. Here's the 1-2 from Gomez. Chop towards third. Tuero has a beat on it and fires to first, but it's low again. It skips off the glove of Moya and gets to the fence, which will allow McIntosh to go to second. So that's the second time a throwing error from the left side of the infield has caused Moya to misplay the ball, and it'll give the Jacksonville Dolphins a runner. I think we might call that an E5.
That one will definitely be an E5, a significantly harder play than the last one that Moya had, a pick play at first. His defense not making it the easiest on him out there.
And now we'll see an extra batter with Justin Nadeau. Nadeau struck out in the first and walked in the third, was stranded on third, and the inning where the Dolphins left the bases loaded. Still a chance for Gomez to get out of this one unscathed. Runner on second, 2 down. First pitch inside, and it's 1-0. And if you're Coach Hernandez, you're really crossing the fingers there in the Wildcat dugout and hoping that Gomez gets through this inning unscathed and we can just get Gamboa in the next inning and go from there with the bullpen. The 1-0. Swung on, ground ball, up the middle, base hit. Rounding third is McIntosh. He will score as the throw is cut off in the infield, and the Dolphins have pulled a run back. It's now 4-3 BCU.
Looks like they'll ride with Gomez here. No move to the pen. Probably the right call there. Let him finish out the 5th.
Nadeau, just his 6th RBI of the season. He's only playing his 9th game of the year. And Chandler had Garcia in the last inning that continued that inning for the Dolphins when he was stranded at first. And so the error by Tuero comes back to haunt him as the Dolphins played a run. First pitch from Gomez is not going to come home with it. He's going to spin and throw back to first, trying to correct the error and get Nadeau.
Of course, any runs from here on out on this inning will be unearned, so it won't reflect on the ERA of Gomez.
Which will be down significantly, I'm sure, from 27, where it was sitting before tonight's contest. Strike on the outside corner, 0-1.
But another that's baseball moment. You have an error like that, could close out an inning. It usually comes back to haunt you.
Another spin and a throw back to first. Nadeau dives back in. Jacksonville, as I mentioned earlier, 2 big scalps. They beat Florida at Florida Ballpark in Gainesville back on the 1st of the month, and then last week they went down to Coral Gables and beat Miami 6-3.
You know, for these college baseball programs, it really is a blessing to play in the state of Florida. You have such close access to so many great programs, so many programs around your level. You really get a little bit of everything. Just within your home state, a couple-hour drive in any direction will get you somewhere.
Gomez fires the 1-1. Runner goes to second, no throw, and it'll be a stolen base for Nadeau.
For the Wildcats, make it 18 of 21, our opponents, on steal attempts. All of those caught stealings came off the glove of Irvin Escobar. Sarah says yet to throw anyone out yet. No throw on that one, of course.
And for the Dolphins, that is their 29th stolen base of the year on 33 attempts. So pretty economical base stealing team. But the runner is in scoring position, and the count is 2-1. Here's the pitch outside, 3-1. And maybe you think that Gomez is just running out of gas a little bit here.
Could be his last batter either way. We'll see what Coach Hernandez decides to call if needed.
3-1 to Chandler Howard, the lefty. And Gomez deals, swing and a miss. And the count is 3-2. 1 strike away from getting out of the jam and completing a pretty healthy evening on the mound for Santiago Gomez. The payoff. Hit hard into left field, going back and making the catch is Hodges to end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 left. And the Wildcats hold a 4-3 lead as we head to the bottom of the 5th right here on the Cat Eye Network. Boris Pena leads off the bottom of the 5th for the Wildcats. They hold a 4-3 lead over the Jacksonville Dolphins, and they have really eaten up Scout Updike. The first pitch upstairs, count 1-0 to Pena. Boris singled and scored in the second, singled and was stranded in the third. This is his second time he's leading off an inning, led off in the second as well. Boris has come off the bench 3 times this season, but doesn't stop him from having a team-leading 11 RBI.
Yeah, hadn't been challenged much in left field tonight, but I'm certain it's a new challenge for him. Probably interesting dynamic for him.
Updike behind 3-0 quickly. And he's going to get a 4-pitch walk. Only the second given up tonight by Jacksonville, pitching in the first by Scout Updike.
That'll accelerate the operation in the Dolphins' pen.
As
like 21.
Here is Jorge Braceras. Singleton was caught on a fielder's choice in the second and then flied out to center in the third. And he is on with a runner on and nobody out. Braceras' first pitch to him by Updike is in the dirt. And 5 straight balls now for Scout.
Be Divine Vale warming for Jacksonville.
I believe it's Valier.
Valier it is, Mike.
We were talking to the Jacksonville SID before the game. Both bullpens going, as we believe we will see Marcos Gamboa next inning for the Wildcats.
Updike at 42 pitches here.
Here's 1-0 in the dirt again. 2-0. 6 straight balls to start the inning for Updike.
Certainly, if you're BCU here, I'm not taking the bat off my shoulder until I'm given a reason to.
Yeah, let him pitch to you. Braceras, a junior from Miami, started his college career at Miami-Dade College. Last year, down there, 258 batter, and eventually found his way to Bethune-Cookman after playing high school at Christopher Columbus High School in the metro Miami area. Updike finally throws a strike, and it's 2-1. Pickoff attempt to first, and Pena gets back.
Like we mentioned before, 6 of these Wildcats come from Hialeah, 5 of them from Miami, 5 more from some of the smaller towns and suburbs around Miami. So that's 25 total of them from Florida. That's where Johnny gets his guys.
Strike called on the inside corner by home plate umpire Charles Reddick. Chris Pittman and Terrell Poole are the outfield umpires. This is a SWAT crew. 2-2. Ground ball foul outside of third.
Had some umpire drama within the SWAC, although not a SWAC official. Mississippi Valley this last weekend. If you haven't seen the highlight, look it up. 2 straight horrendous strike calls, the second of which was so far outside, and the official rung him up before the ball really even hit the glove.
That is a the baseball equivalent of turning your desk over and walking out the door, I think. I don't think that umpire is going to be working again.
No, he has been officially suspended for the rest of the season. Should probably go to an eye doctor.
We will see Mississippi Valley State, not this weekend, but the next weekend. Here's a steal attempt, and in with a stolen base. The throw goes into left field. Throw to third is wide, and give 2 bases to Boris Pena. He goes from first to third.
Dangerous decision there to continue from second to third. I don't think he initially saw the ball sail into center field. Hesitation, decided to go for it, nearly caught, but he made it. Give him 2 bases.
And I believe that was a strikeout for Jorge Braceras, because Braceras is nowhere to be seen, and here is Jason Hodges getting ready to start his at-bat, but no out has been put up on the board yet. To be fair, I did not, once I saw Pena go into second, I didn't watch the plate.
We're talking about something.
I'm not sure. But going back to my earlier point, we will see Mississippi Valley State. The Delta Devils will be in town next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, the 24th, 25th, and 26th. We'll have at least one of those games right here for you on the Cat Eye Network.
Mississippi Valley, I believe, off to a fairly solid start. I'll have to check their schedule, but
6-9 are the Delta Devils.
for a team that plays in Itta, Mississippi, hard to argue with 6-9.
We were talking about there are levels to SWAC baseball, and BCU near the top after coming over from the MEAC 2 seasons ago.
Very different play style from the MEAC to the SWAC. See a lot more pitching in the MEAC, which is translated really well into the SWAC for the Wildcats.
So count a strikeout to George Brasaris, and then Jason Hodges stands in, take a pitch outside with 1 down. And runner at third, all they got to do is put the ball in the air somewhere, and we could be looking at restoring the Wildcats' 2-run advantage, currently setting it 4-3. The Wildcats have slugged out 8 hits to the Dolphins 4 here as we play in the bottom of the 5th. Here's the 2-0 from Updike. Swing and a miss. And it's 2-1. We're talking about not taking the bat off the shoulder until you can prove Updike can prove he can throw strikes to you. And now, with 2 straight foul tips, Hodges in a tough spot, the count 2-2.
And that last foul there was pitch inside, got in on the hands of Hodges. He swung on it. Ties the count at 2-2.
Here's Updike's pitch way outside. It almost got past the catcher. Nice job by McIntosh to corral that, because if he lets that get to the backstop, Pena almost surely scores. Count runs full to Hodges. The full count from Updike. Swung on and fouled away. We'll do it again. And this might be Scout Updike's last batter faced, no matter what.
Pitch number 50 up next for him.
Outside, ball 4. Second walk of the inning issued by Updike. And Hodges is aboard. Runners on the corners for the Wildcats with 1 man out. And that will bring up Jeremy Garcia, who reached on a fielder's choice via the bunt in the 2nd inning. And then squared to bunt, pulled back, and hit a base hit to left field in the 4th, and ended up scoring in that inning as well. Part of that train of base hits in the 4th inning for the Wildcats. Garcia takes a ball outside 1-0. The home plate umpire's outside strike zone to lefties has been kind of waffling in and out a little bit. He's sometimes given pitchers the benefit of the doubt on the outside corner. Sometimes he's been calling it tight. And time is called as Hodges steps out. Wind continuing to blow in from center. Pitch. And Hodges squared to bunt. It looked like if he hadn't squared to bunt, that might have hit him, as the pitch was very inside, but it's a foul strike, 1-1.
With 1 out here, runner on 3rd and 1st. Not loving the bunt decision there. Garcia squared around to do it in all 3 plate appearances tonight.
That's one way to dissuade guys from squaring to bunt against you. Just throw inside. Force him to back off the plate a little bit. Updike's 1-1. Swung on and line down the right field line and fair. That gets into right field. 1 run scores. Going to 3rd is Pena. He slides in and he's safe. And the Wildcats have grown the lead back to 2. It's 5-3. Pena scores from 1st. Hodges goes from 1st to 3rd on the RBI single by Garcia.
And again, we love the decision by Garcia. Pull back the bunt, swing the bat, take advantage. Drives in another run. Nice piece of hitting there through the hole over in 2nd base. No idea how Hodges is safe on that play. Looked like he was out.
I thought he was going to be. And
by 3 or 4 feet. Glove right in his chest. I guess the official must argue that maybe the glove didn't contact him, but either way, he's at 3rd.
I'm not sure how much you can hear of the Jacksonville radio announcer next door to us here at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Very tight press box.
Gonna have to side with his reaction to that play there.
But anyway, it's still one out in the inning. Runners on the corners. Going to second on the steal attempt is Garcia. Now coming home and scoring is Hodges as the throw is offline. And the ball gets away, and Garcia gets to third as well.
Hodges flirting with disaster again there. I think he would have been out if the catcher handles that ball, but those rundowns are always really dangerous when there's a guy at third flirting with the runner. Decided to go for it. Everybody panics. Ball's in the dirt. Another run for the Wildcats.
And more sloppy play defensively by Jacksonville. And has allowed the Wildcats to score another one. 2 in the inning, 6-3 Cats. As Colton Olesen takes outside 1-1.
Mike, we've talked about it. This is what the Wildcats do. They put pressure on you in different ways than just at the plate. Every guy up and down the lineup can get a base hit when they need to, but little run, hit and run, stealing bases.
Chop foul right at home plate for Olesen, and the count 2-2. The Wildcats and Coach Jonathan Hernandez has opened up the safety valve on the steals today here in the 5th inning. The Wildcats have been all over the base paths. Pitch outside, the count runs full, and I'm kind of shocked that Scout Updike is still in, as he has given up 5 of the 6 Wildcat runs. Full count delivering to Olesen. And Colton hits it high to right field and not deep. In fact, that's going to stay towards the infield, reaching over the dugout to make the catch is Wetero. And there is 2 away.
Updike will take the out any way he can get him. Nice play by the first baseman. 2 outs away here.
The way that came off the bat, I thought that was headed to right field, but the wind just held it up and pushed it
back towards us.
Yeah.
These early spring games, really, the wind swirls. And not swirling here tonight, but there's a lot of different looks here from the wind at the Jack.
As it is currently 64 degrees Fahrenheit here in Central Florida, which is cool for us, and that'll be the end for Scout Updike. He will be replaced when we come back by Divine Valle, and I guess we'll keep it right here. We get a chance to wax poetic as the pitching change goes on. Chance to look up Valle as well.
Elsewhere around the SWAC today, Prairie View A&M falls to Incarnate Word 5-4. Pine Bluff falls to Eastern Illinois 10-5. A couple other games in action tonight. Texas Southern will take on Houston Tillotson. We have Jackson State at Louisiana Lafayette. Grambling State will host Wiley College, and Mississippi Valley State is at McNeese. If we get some scores on those later in the broadcast, we'll give those to you. But everybody rounding up non-conference play here. Some final tune-ups before we get into the heart of SWAC play when it matters.
So the SWAC is always interesting because every school except Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M is in Central Time. So when you're looking up scores in the middle of a game, this was especially relevant in the last day of the basketball season where both teams were trying to make the SWAC tournament and we needed results to go our way elsewhere, and we were just looking around, see what the seedings were. You can't really say during our games because even though every game tips off at the same time local, every game except ours was an hour later.
And for those of us who work in sports information, is the one of only a few schools that are on Eastern Time. I get many a phone call throughout the season that this time needs to be changed, that time is wrong, because I struggle badly with that time change. As simple as it is, it just haunts me.
So one of my bosses for one of the esports broadcasting things that I do is located in Central Time. And so he always speaks in Central Time and then throws me for a loop. And for a while, our official broadcast schedules that were sent out at the beginning of each week were in Central Time before we finally just ganged up on it and committed to just stop. Just stop. Make it at Eastern Time. Divine Valle is the new pitcher for the Jacksonville Dolphins. He's a freshman from Fleming Island, Florida, played at Fleming Island High School. Second team All-County last year. And his first delivery is low and outside to the leadoff man, Luis Torero. And the count 1-0. Valier, that's going to trip me up, and I apologize. I will get it right eventually. Valier is only making his third appearance of the season as he throws outside again. He actually has a win and a loss in relief. One inning against Siena and one inning against Florida. 2-0. This one is hit off the end of the bat high into left field. Flowers makes the catch to end the inning. But the Wildcats get 2 runs on 1 hit and strand 1 runner. We go to the 6th inning. The Wildcats have broken it open. It's 6-3 here on the Cat Eye Network. Back at the Jack with BCU baseball, and we have a new pitcher on the mound for the Wildcats, the sophomore from Fort Pierce, Florida, Marcos Gamboa. Gamboa, 3 appearances, a 6.35 ERA. He's a right-hander with a lot of speed, and he shows it right there by forcing Ethan Campbell to jump back. 3 appearances, he's got 1 start. He was a midweek starter earlier in the season. And Campbell hits it high in the air, foul down the right field line. That will just barely make the seats, as both Moya and Olesen chased after it.
Final line on the starter Gomez. 92 pitches for him, 5 innings pitched, 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 4 hits, 3 walks, struck out 6.
And what about for Updike? Because he came out last inning too.
Updike, throw a pitch here.
Here's the 1-1, upstairs 2-1.
2 2/3 for him. He threw 65 pitches, on 5 runs. 3 of them go in as earned on 5 hits, a pair of walks, 3 strikeouts.
BCU with a 6-3 lead. This one is hammered to center. Going back is Chun. He is going to make the catch 2 steps before the warning track. On a night where the wind is still, that one may still have been carrying into the parking lot, but the wind holds that one up and just makes it a loud out for Campbell.
Campbell's very frustrated over there. It looks like he pulled something running around first. Comes up limp. I thought maybe it was just pure frustration, maybe that the wind kept it in the park, but he's definitely, trainer's coming out there to look at him. He's definitely banged up.
That's a tough one to take, and you're not even going full tilt around the bases. And you kind of pull up injured, but I've done those injuries myself, and it's not a good time when you pull something in a lower leg.
He's walking off fairly strong. Not much of a limp as he makes it almost to the dugout now, but like you said, Mike, that ball was absolutely smoked. On any other night, with the wind traditionally blowing out, that one is long gone.
And here is Wetero, takes the ball upstairs. Here's the rest of the stats for Gamboa. 3 appearances with 1 start, 5 2/3 innings. He works quickly and gets Wetero to swing, the count 1-1. He's given up 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned, walked 3, struck out 6. And he has let 2 balls leave the yard. 1-1 in the dirt.
Gamboa last season was a midweek starter for a handful of contests for Bethune-Cookman. He started at UCF, at Florida, at FIU, at FSU. He saw his fair share of some powerful bats here within the state of Florida.
Swing and a miss, and down on strikes goes Colin Wetero. First strikeout of the night for Marcus Gamboa. Played in 11 games for Bethune last year, 4 starts, which you just mentioned. Had an ERA of 8.6, but with the gauntlet that he faced, not surprising.
Actually started his career here at BCU with a football scholarship, which was great for Coach Hernandez, saving a scholarship on him.
First pitch fastball up and in to the 9-hole hitter Elias Flowers. Flowers struck out of the second, grounded right in front of the plate, and was thrown out by the catcher Braceras in the 4th. As we play here in the top of the 6th, the sunlight almost completely gone. Just a few rays of yellow and orange streaking across the sky. Big cut and miss from Flowers, and quickly 2 strikes on him.
Speaking of BCU football, a little insider information, you'll see some coaching hires announced in the next 24 hours or so.
Backwards K struck out Flowers looking. 1, 2, 3 go the Dolphins, as a nice quick inning of work for Marcos Gamboa. We'll come back with the bottom of the 6th. Cats lead 6-3 right here on the Cat Eye Network. So we saw Ethan Campbell limp off injured after flying out to center last inning. He is replaced in right field by Blake DeLameleur. And if that name sounds familiar to you, well, you might watch the NFL.
He is he's related to offensive lineman Joe DeLameleur, his grandfather's cousin. All-American at Michigan State, drafted by the Bills, played 13 seasons there, 6-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All-Pro.
Garrett Chun leads off the inning for the Wildcats. He faces a 1-0 count, now a 1-1 count as he watches that one go right down the middle. Singled in the first, flied out to left in the second, doubled and was stranded on third in the 4th. And now he hits in the 6th inning. Wildcats with a 6-3 lead, hit off the end of the bat, foul, and that'll leave the yard, and it's 1-2. As Divine Valier continues his work on the hill for the Dolphins. McIntosh tried to do a tight frame job there to get the strikeout, but the umpire not buying it. Valier's 2-2. Inside 3-2. Garrett Chun, the junior from Jacksonville, stands in against his hometown team and sees a walk. Fourth walk given up tonight by Jacksonville pitching, and that'll bring up Highland Hall, who is jonesing for a good plate appearance. Flied out to left, flied out to right, and grounded out to the shortstop in his 3 plate appearances today.
Middle of this Wildcats lineup has struggled tonight with Moya behind him with the 3 strikeouts. They've gotten production from just about everywhere else.
Bottom of the order, Huge have scored all, from Pena down, have scored all 6 Wildcat runs tonight.
You got Tuero, Hall, and Moya all hitless tonight. 3 of the, you could say, best hitters, very least better hitters on the Wildcat squad. That's just a testament to how deep Hernandez likes this lineup. Guys can pick you up when you're not having your best night here on a Tuesday.
Valier's 0-1 will be delayed as he turns and throws back to first. And this is a night, weather-wise, that maybe Highland Hall feels a bit more at home in, with him transferring in from Washington State, swing and a miss, but that ball gets to the catcher. Actually, that's I think they might call that a foul ball. We shall see, as Chun does advance. We'll see if the umpires call him back. They do not.
They have not done that.
So the ball did not hit Highland Hall's bat, but he does face an 0-2 count.
Ruled a pass ball.
So now a runner on second, nobody out.
And for the Dolphins, you know, we talk about the Wildcats just putting pressure on the base paths everywhere else. Not doing themselves any favors, putting the Wildcats into position to do that.
Here's the 0-2 way outside, just trying to get Highland to chase at something wild. And again, nice work behind the plate by McIntosh to potentially save another base.
He's had to deal with his fair share of those sort of pitches tonight. Probably saved at least 1 run with his efforts, maybe more.
Hall, originally from the Orlando area, played at Ocoee. As Hall steps out, the count is 1-2. Oh, no, it's 2-2. Correction on the scoreboard there. Either way, Valier turns and steps back. Nobody covering second. And I've been in that position as a middle infielder where you see your pitcher turn around like that and you think, oh no, do not throw it, because nobody gave the pickoff sign, so nobody's covering.
Yep.
I've also been in situations where that ball's gone into center field.
You've seen a few balls, maybe not quite like that, but sailing to center field.
Hall up the middle. Nice backhanded stop by Nadeau. Throws to first in time. Chun advances to third on the ground out by Hall. And now here's Robert Moya, who has had a hat trick of strikeouts tonight, all 3 swinging. But a ball in play here could mean another run for the Wildcats. Big AB from Robert.
In baseball, that's all it takes. 1 good swing on the ball, RBI single, had yourself a pretty good night.
Now, he really wanted that one, but that one is a slider that breaks away from him from the righty-to-righty matchup, and it's 0-1.
Moya has not gotten cheated on his swings at all tonight. He's taken some huge hacks.
Maybe the note from the coaching staff is, just settle down a little bit. Just try and make contact. You don't have to hit the ball out of the park every time you make contact.
Even on a check swing there, he looked ready to swing for it on that one.
And again, you know, if you're having a night like this, you've struck out 3 times, you're just not really seeing the ball that well. You want to make an impact with a runner at third. You just want to try and get all of it. And that pitch is inside. Did it hit him? No, in the count 2-1.
Yeah, and like we've seen from this Jacksonville staff tonight, they'll put you in a position to do some damage without you having to lift the bat off your shoulder. Make them pitch to you. Be patient. You can make something happen.
Hitters count here from Moya, and he once again swings for the fences and misses at a ball that's low, and it's 2-2. Boris Pena on deck, who's had a really good night. 2 hits, 2 runs for Pena. 2-2 to Moya. Swung on, grounder up the middle. Diving, stop, but it gets past the glove of Malloy. In to score is Chun. And finally, Moya breaks his duck with an RBI single, and it is 7-3 Wildcats.
And that right there is just what we talk about. 3 strikeouts coming to the at-bat. Maybe not the best at-bat to start. Settle it down. Take what the pitching gives you. Send a bouncing ball, not the prettiest ball in the world. Send it out into the outfield, and just like that, RBI single.
I thought that for all the world that Chase Malloy was going to grab that ball with the outstretched arm, but I think he didn't slide as far on the turf that maybe he thought he was going to traditionally on dirt. So he started his slide early, and the friction of the turf didn't allow him to catch up to the ball.
Between that and the always weird bounces off the turf, it's always hard to predict any ball on the ground like that. Sets up for a base hit.
Oh, up near the face of Boris Pena as he jumps back away from it. 1-1 from Valier. This is a tough spot for Devine, just a freshman in this Jacksonville organization. And facing a tough veteran-laden lineup here at Bethune-Cookman tonight.
The guy at Pena who crowds the plate, maybe chasing him off a little bit with that first pitch.
Pena, one of those Hialeah guys. One of the rare Wildcats that left Bethune-Cookman during the COVID years and then came back after playing at the community college level.
A lot of the leaders on this Wildcats team did the same. Colton Olison is another one. Guys who are loyal to the program, loyal to head coach Jonathan Hernandez.
2-2. Off the end of the bat foul, and it's 2-2 again. As the lights of beautiful downtown Daytona Beach illuminate the street across the water. Always a good night when you're at the Jack watching some Wildcat baseball. Cats with a 4-run lead, and they've hit 10 times tonight. 7 times they've been around to score. It's a pretty efficient night.
Certainly a nice night to have after 4 straight ranked games against South Carolina and Florida State. Big-time confidence boost, which is absolutely what you need going into not just conference play, but conference play against SWAC champions a season ago.
3-2 pitch. Oh, strike 3 called. Pena was halfway to first, and the umpire rings him up. Strikeout looking for Valier.
A little bit of an inconsistent strike zone by the official tonight. Not sure what the call was there, but goes down looking.
So now 2 down. Here's Braceras. Braceras base hit and was caught on a fielder's choice his first time out, but then popped out to center and struck out last time. And George fires this one foul.
George, one of only 3 Wildcats without an RBI tonight.
Swing and a miss at a ball in the dirt. And another good play behind the plate by McIntosh as he prevents that one from getting to the backstop. And the count quickly 0-2 against Braceras. Braceras hit .258 a season ago at Miami-Dade College at the JUCO level. And he swings and misses at a fastball, and that ends the inning. Nice job by Valier. to get out of a jam. He does allow 1 run on 1 hit, and there was 1 left. Wildcats extend the lead at 7-3 as we head to the 7th right here on the Cat Eye Network. Marcos Gamboa out for his 2nd inning of work as we hit the 7th inning of play here at Jackie Robinson. Game that's gone pretty snappily as we're just 2 hours and 8 minutes into the contest.
Especially considering we've only had, what, maybe 2 1-2-3 innings combined from both sides? I'd have to look at the exact number, but it hasn't been
both
much
of them
more
were
than
from the Wildcats. The Dolphins went quietly in the 4th and then in the 6th. But it's back to the top of the order, and the damage dealer for the Dolphins, Chase Malloy, he's been on base twice, and both times he's come around to score. Courtesy of a walk in the 1st and a double in the 3rd. He swings and misses at a high fastball from Gamboa. And the count 0-1. Marcos quickly into his windup and fires high. With so much baseball going on around the world, we're glad you've tuned into our little corner of the internet tonight to watch some Wildcats baseball, whether you're a Wildcat fan or a Jacksonville fan, as Malloy gets all of this one down the line, and it's going to go foul, just landing about a foot to the left of the left field line. As sliding across the outfield was Pena. The new left fielder, has been in some tough spots out there. He had one go off the wall about an inch away from his glove earlier. But he has made a decent account of himself other than those 2 instances.
You know, for the 3rd time out there for him, nothing really to shake your head at. He's been hasn't really faced a ton of action out there today, outside of, like you said, a couple of tough plays for any fielder.
Ball in the opposite batter's box for Gamboa. The count 2-2 on Malloy. Catching people up on some World Baseball Classic action if they haven't seen it today. Venezuela continues to be undefeated as they defeat Nicaragua 4-1. Canada pulls off another shock as Malloy strikes out looking. Didn't lift the bat off his shoulder, and there's one away. Another Group C continues to be wild as Canada defeats Colombia 5-0. And muddies the waters even further in the USA's group. And right now, it's the 3rd inning, and the Dominican Republic leads Israel 2-0. And here is Cam Ridley. He's 0 for 3. A strikeout, a ground out, and a flyout in the ball game. Ridley came in as one of the best hitters for Jacksonville, hitting .323 with 21 hits, 19 runs scored, and 14 RBIs. But Wildcat pitching especially Starter Santiago Gomez has kept him in check tonight. .30 called strike on the outside corner, 3-1.
Activity in both pens now. Gabriel Perez getting loose for the Wildcats.
Here's the 3-1 from Gamboa. Chopped foul behind home plate, and the count runs full. Nice fight back from Marcos in this at-bat.
Gamboa certainly doesn't shy away from challenging guys at the plate. Likes the high fastball. Overall, just throws fairly hard. Might see another high fastball here.
Here's the 3-2. Outside ball 4 and a walk issued to Cam Ridley, who's aboard for the first time tonight. Third walk of the night given up by Wildcat pitching, first by Gamboa. And here's Chris Armstrong. Armstrong doubled in the first and then has flied out and struck out in his next 2 plate appearances. They got a runner on and 1 man out here in the 7th as the Dolphins try to rally back from a 7-3 deficit here at the Jack. A series overall which has not really favored the Wildcats over the past couple years. 7-2 the Dolphins favored since 2016. Swing and a miss by Armstrong, and the count 0-1. But last year, the Wildcats did split with the Dolphins, each team winning their home leg of the season series. This year, unfortunately, only 1 meeting between these teams, as with Stetson, who we'll see in a couple weeks.
It's always nice to take care of business at home when you host teams of the caliber of some of these A-Sun squads or even higher up. And, you know, the Wildcats are lucky here at the great facility here with the Tortugas lending a hand to BCU, especially within the realm of the SWAC. It's a great place to be able to host teams like that, welcome them in, and overall, you know, take care of home business and give a great product for fans, for opposing teams and the like.
Double check on Ridley at first by Gamboa before he comes home with the 0-1. Chopped into play, left to the mound. It's past the glove of Gamboa, and everybody's safe.
Really no way Gamboa or any of the infielders for that matter can make that play. High chopper, stayed close to the plate. Nobody really committed to charging on it because we weren't really sure what was going to happen, so I'm sure that one will go down as an infield single.
Yep, infield single for Armstrong, and now 2 aboard with 1 out. The Dolphins threatening here in the 7th. Here's Hogan McIntosh. McIntosh has been on base 2 of his 3 plate appearances, grounded out in the first, singled in the 3rd, and then reached on an error and scored the 3rd run for the Dolphins in the 5th. Gamboa throws it high and away, 1-0. I'm always interested to see what teams early on in the season in these non-conference games come down to Florida and kind of make the trip around and play a bunch of schools, spend a couple of weeks down here. As Gamboa fires a 1-0 upstairs, 2-0. And a name that's popped up a lot this year is Siena, as the Saints have been all over the place in the state of Florida. They've played Florida State, Florida, Stetson, and a 4-game set with Jacksonville at the beginning of this month. Surprised they didn't swing by the Jack this season.
Always welcome to get out of the cold weather. Probably have a blast down here, a little vacation down in Florida.
Another pitch high from Gamboa, 3-0 to McIntosh, and he's 1 missed pitch from loading him up. And Joe is on deck for the Dolphins. Here's Gamboa's 3-0 offering. Upstairs, ball 4, and Braceras calls time, and the infield comes in to talk about it. Bases loaded for the Dolphins with only 1 out here in the 7th.
Here comes Coach Hernandez. He'll join the meeting on the mound. No signal yet to the pen. Isn't always a guaranteed call to the pen when Coach Johnny comes out. Still no signal.
And Gabriel Perez, the sophomore, is the man warming up in maroon and gold. And with Gamboa doing so well in the 6th, struck out 2 and got a pop-up. Interesting that he's just kind of lost control here in the 7th. 2 walks and a base hit. Well, the base hit wasn't really his fault. That was just one of those kind of fluke plays that could have gone anywhere. But the 2 walks, definitely. Gamboa had only issued 3 walks in his 5 2/3 innings of work coming into tonight's game, so
15 2/3 last season. He did walk 20, so it was a little bit of an issue a season ago. Obviously getting him a bit of trouble here.
it looks like Marcos will remain in the game. He had 14 strikeouts in those 15 2/3 last year. Bases loaded for Jacksonville. Ridley on third, Armstrong on second, McIntosh on first, and Nadeau at the plate with 1 out. Nadeau struck out in the first, walked and was stranded on third in the 3rd, and then singled in the run. He has an RBI today, and then stole second, was stranded there in the 5th. The pace of the game has really slowed down in this inning. We were kind of firing through them.
Well, long look-ins for Gamboa, not typical of BCU pitching staff. Of course, here we have an official's delay called time, but even before, just being very, very deliberate.
Got to throw strikes if you're Gamboa, as another one gets away from upstairs. He's been missing them high the last 3 batters. And struggled to keep the ball down.
He's maybe trying to do a little too much, trying to put a few extra miles per hour on every fastball. Settle it down, pick some corners.
Nowhere to put the runners with the bases loaded. Gamboa's 1-0 in there for a strike, and he needed that one.
Sometimes it just takes one to get you back on track.
Nadeau, 5 RBI on the season coming into the game, 6 if you count the one today. Hasn't hit one out of the ballpark yet. As he grounds that one up the middle. This could be 2, but it's off the glove of Olesen and into right field. 1 run scores. Here comes a 2nd run, and stretching it to a double is Justin Nadeau. And just like that, the Dolphins are back in it, and it's 7-5.
Olesen looking frustrated out there in the middle of the infield. A tough play to make. Just a laser beam of a ball right up the middle. Kicks off of his glove.
Ridley scores from 3rd, Armstrong scores from 2nd, and the Jacksonville Dolphins are not going to go quietly into that good night. And I'll tell you who one person who is, Marcos Gamboa, is done, as trotting in from left field is Gabriel Perez. Perez, a sophomore from Pembroke Pines, Florida. And he played 15 games, 30 innings in relief last year as a freshman with a 2.70 ERA. 17 strikeouts.
Had some success against some really solid lineups. An inning against Florida State. He allowed just 1 hit, and then this last weekend at South Carolina, another inning, struck out 2. So obviously be a welcome change for him to see anything but a ranked opponent. A long reliever for the Wildcats last season. Hasn't appeared in more than 2 innings yet this season.
Perez, a 6.75 ERA. He's 0-1 in 6 appearances. He's pitched 8 innings. Given up 10 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned on 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. But again, over a season's worth of work, ERA was under 3.
3 straight scoreless outings for him, dating back to March 4th.
But he is going to have the difficult task of trying to keep the Wildcat lead at 2 runs, as they've got first and second with 1 man out of the 7th inning. Beautiful night at the ballpark. We've had some people flutter in the later innings. I believe I see my basketball contemporary Eric Dennis down there. I saw Reggie Theus lurking around earlier, so.
College baseball season.
Yeah, everybody wants a piece. It's like the softball game. And I was incorrect when I said first and second. I forgot to move the runners up on my sheet. There are runners at second and third. McIntosh at third, and Nadeau after the double at second. Here is Chandler Howard, the freshman from Lake City, Florida, who has grounded out, reached on an error, and popped out in the game. Howard played his high school baseball for Columbia High School for the Tigers. And actually has played at Jackie Robinson Ballpark before. And the first pitch gets by the catcher, a wild pitch. McIntosh scores from third, Nadeau goes to third, and it's a 1-run game. First pitch from Perez is a wild pitch. How do you like that?
And with the tying run on third, go-ahead run at the plate, kind of turning towards disaster for the Wildcats if they can't settle things down and get out of this inning.
3 runs in the inning for the Dolphins. Pitch inside, 2-0, and Perez got to quickly get command of this situation. Chandler Howard has played at Jackie Robinson Ballpark before and has actually played at a game that I've broadcast before, as the Columbia Tigers came over here to face the Atlantic High School Sharks back when I was still their radio voice 2 years ago. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball outside, and it's 2-1. So no stranger to this ballpark. He was the 2022 Riverbend Pitcher and Player of the Year, although playing designated hitter duties tonight. The 2-1. Another slow breaking ball gets Howard to chase, and it's 2-2.
Way out in front of that pitch. Certainly not expecting it. Wonder if we'll see him go back to it here.
Huge moment here for Perez, with the tying run lurking 90 feet away. Strike 3, rung him up looking.
Froze him on the fastball, the lower half of the plate. Just what the Wildcats needed.
Excellent frame job by Braceras. And now in for the first time is Blake DeLameler, replacing the injured Ethan Campbell. First pitch in there for a strike. Swing and a miss from DeLameler. The ball kicks off of Braceras but remains in front of him. DeLameler, the junior from St. John's, played his high school ball at Bartram Trail. He's a .222 hitter, 12 hits, 9 runs scored, 9 RBIs. But the count is 0-2 to him. And Perez trying to get him to chase it one upstairs to get out of the inning. And it's 1-2. appeared in all 55 games last season for the Dolphins, started 54 of them as a combination of right fielder and center fielder, as he's playing in right tonight. And the ball is chopped foul at first. It looked like that got him on the ankle. And he is in for the injured Ethan Campbell, who looked like he pulled a muscle rounding first on a flyout in his last at-bat in the 6th inning. Three runs on 2 hits so far for the Dolphins in the inning as they have lowered the gap to 1. That ball hit to short, fielded by Garcia. He fires to first in time to maintain the slimmest of 1-run leads. 3 runs, 2 hits, 2 left. And at the end of 6.5, the Wildcats have seen their lead shrink to just 7-6 right here on the Cat Eye Network. Jason Hodges standing in, getting ready to face Divine Valier. Hodges has reached base all 3 times he stood in the batter's box tonight. Base hit and was stranded at third in the 2nd. Reached on an error and scored in the 4th, walked and scored in the 5th. As the Wildcats now looking for some more run support as they have seen a 4-run lead shrink to just a 1-run lead following the 3-run Jacksonville top of the inning.
Midweek baseball, always interesting.
It is just past stretch time here at the Jack. I am very disappointed in whoever is running sound tonight because they did not play the 7th inning stretch.
We have an unfortunate tendency. We haven't done a 7th inning stretch consistently for a while now. We'll have to fix that.
That's a crime against baseball, Price.
You're absolutely right. That is a crime against baseball.
Here's the 2-1 in there for a strike, and it's 2-2. Hodges reached on the fielding error by Armstrong that really kick-started the big 4th inning for the Wildcats. The 2-2 swung on and missed, and down on strikes goes Hodges. 3rd strikeout for Valier. Actually, that's the 4th K for Valier. And now Garcia reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st. Singleton scored in the 4th, and Singleton was stranded on 3rd in the 5th.
Pulled back a pair of bunts in favor of some swings, and it's paid off for him.
Here's a pitch. Swung on, and a 2nd straight foul ball back to the screen. No, correction, that it's count as 1-1. The foul ball back was on the previous batter. Garcia, the sophomore from St. Cloud, Florida, hits this one right to the shortstop. Fielded by Malloy. He fires to first in time there, two-way. And that brings up ever-reliable Colton Olison. Olison, one of those guys that left BCU and then came back after playing the junior college level 1 year. He played at St. Petersburg College while the BCU athletic department sat out the 2020-2021 season. Olison lifts this one high in foul territory, moving over and sliding to make the catch is Wetero. The Cats go quietly, 1, 2, 3, and that is it for the Cats in the 7th. We go to the 8th. Wildcats looking for some defense to preserve a 1-1 lead. No, your eyes are not deceiving you, Wildcat Nation. That is designated hitter Highland Hall on the hill for the Wildcats. He's technically listed as a pitcher. As Bryce and I were scrambling up here during the in-between innings period to try and find any sort of pitching statistics for Hall. He hasn't pitched at all this year for Bethune-Cookman. We can't find any sort of hitting statistics for him, or pitching statistics, excuse me, for him when he was at Washington State. And maybe when he was at Wabash College as a freshman and redshirt freshman back in 2020 and 2021. But this is an odd choice by Jonathan Hernandez. Maybe with SWAC play on the horizon in just a couple of days, just wants to save those arms in the bullpen.
Certainly could be that. I mean, who knows? Maybe he has a secret weapon out of the pen. It is a one-run game. I understand it's non-conference at the end of the day. It won't hurt you a ton if it doesn't work out. Maybe trying to see what Hall has on the mound. Seems like a weird spot for it, but we're about to learn a lot about Highland Hall as a pitcher here in a few minutes.
Leading off the 8th is Blake Delamler. Delamler popped out his first time up. He's in relief of Ethan Campbell. Sorry, this is Colin Wetero, not Campbell. So I messed up on my scoring chart real quick. Wetero walked and was stranded on first in the 2nd, grounded out in the 4th, and struck out in the 6th. And Hall deals, swing and a miss. That ball had some late movement on it, broke to the outside.
That was a fun watch on the mound. He's kind of openly talking to the catcher, Braceras, every couple pitches or so.
He's got a great attitude about him. He just plays the game with kind of a carefree notion.
He has fun with the game, and a lot of guys struggle with that, I think, in our game today.
Hall deals, and that one's in the dirt. The count's 2-2. We're wondering maybe if this is just a bridge to get to a later inning guy, get to the ninth, or maybe to save arms for the big SWAC series against Alabama State coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But any way you slice it, it's Hall on the mound. He's got a 2-2 count against Wetero. And Wetero hits it high and deep to left, but it's not going to leave the yard. The wind holds it up for Pena, who makes the catch, and there's one away. Now here's Elias Flowers. 2 strikeouts on the day for him, and then a ground ball out thrown by the catcher to first. Flowers from Yorkville High School in Montgomery, Illinois. Count 1-0.
Hall's fastball certainly has some giddy up to it. Don't have a radar gun out here, so not entirely sure what it's registering at, but looks competitive.
He's a redshirt sophomore, and in his redshirt freshman 2021 season was a big part of the Dolphins' A-Sun winning roster, and also was named to the NCAA All-Regional team. Pitch inside from Hall. The count is 3-0. The message to the Highland Hall must have been just get out there, throw strikes, let your defense work. As Hall misses on 4 consecutive pitches and a walk for Flowers. And in a one-run game with a pitcher who doesn't have a lot of mound time, you really don't want to be behind in counts. You don't want to be walking guys and getting yourself in trouble.
It'll be really interesting to see how his approach changes now that there is a runner on base. Obviously not a long delivery from Hall, so I don't think his approach to the plate should be much different. But we'll see if he checks in on the runner, if it puts any pressure on him.
And here comes Jonathan Hernandez.
That'll be pitching coach Joel Sanchez.
Excuse me.
Which probably doesn't indicate a change here.
He's probably just going to tell him exactly what I said. Hey, just throw strikes, pitch to contact, let your defense work behind you. Something that my old coach, Coach Wigley, used to tell me all the time. Just pitch to contact.
Definitely don't want to do too much.
Chase Malloy bats. He struck out to lead off the 7th inning, a 7th inning where the Dolphins ended up getting 3 runs, 2 of them on walks, and one of them coming via a wild pitch. You definitely want to avoid those kind of mistakes again, as the Dolphins have rallied from down 7-3, now 7-6. And the Wildcats do have someone warming up out there.
Yohan Gonzalez, or Pokey as he prefers to be called.
He's probably getting set up to close this one out in the 9th should the Wildcats get there with the lead. Hall's first pitch to Malloy is low, and it's ball 1.
Of course, we know it's not totally out of the question at the college level to see a lot of pitchers and position players kind of change in and out. The Wildcats have seen it a couple of times this year, even within the same game.
The 1-0. Just outside, 2-0. And I don't want to bring up the Cut 4 Twitter accounts like position player pitching little dancing man that they throw out every time it happens in the majors, because he's not a position player. He's a designated hitter.
He is listed as right-handed pitcher, so I don't think you can get away with that one here.
Now he's missed on 7 consecutive pitches, and it's 3-0 again to Malloy, who represents the leading run for the Dolphins. In the dirt, ball 4, 2 straight walks. And runners are on first and second. And I think the leash is going to have to be really short here if you're Coach Hernandez.
Like you said, Mike, I really think it's probably just a matter of trying to do too much, maybe some adrenaline on the mound. As here comes Coach Hernandez. And that'll be the end of the Highland Hall experiment for this Tuesday night.
An interesting inning. You know, 1-run game. As you said, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because this is a non-conference game, but you know, maybe a game like the Purdue-Fort Wayne game where you're up 10-0 is the time to try something like this, not a game where you're up by 1 against an opponent that has proven it can hurt you with the bat.
Could potentially be the first and last time we see Highland Hall on the mound this season. Who knows? Long season, but not promising to start. But again, it'll be interesting to talk to Coach Johnny after the game and kind of gauge the decision-making process, what went into it.
All right, here is Yohan Gonzalez trying to get the 5-out save. It would be if he went the distance. Gonzalez, a senior from the Dominican Republic. He's probably been keyed in on the World Baseball Classic this week.
Fluent in Spanish, as you'd probably imagine. Teammates call him Pokey. He emerged as the closer for the Wildcats towards the end of last season, particularly into the SWAC tournament. I wouldn't say he's officially been the closer here to start this season. Maybe unofficially, still has a ways to go to earn the quote-unquote closer spot. He'll have a good chance to do it here tonight.
He was 3-5 with a 4.95 ERA last season, his first season with the Wildcats. Before that, he played 2 seasons at Highland Community College. This season, as I struggle to find his numbers on my sheet, he was a 5.40 ERA, 1-0 in 4 appearances, 8 1/3 innings pitched. He surrendered 9 hits, 5 runs all earned, 1 walk, and 13 strikeouts. So if you need somebody to pound the zone, Gonzalez is your guy.
Did gather some a little bit of national attention last week at Florida State. He was hitting 96 on the gun. I saw a fair amount of highlight clips circulating on social media.
Somebody who could maybe a late round pickup in the MLB draft in the next couple of years.
Absolutely has the stuff for it. Struggled a little bit with control, particularly early in the season last year. But he started off the season at the Wildcats as the Sunday starter. Kind of decided he was better off out of the pen, earned his way into a key role in the pen, like I said, into the SWAC tournament. Came into this season as the prohibitive favorite to be that Wildcats closer, but we'll see if he can maintain that spot.
He has given that Sunday starter role to Daniel Gaviria, who has done a fantastic job this season. I think the Wildcats are undefeated on Sunday this year. No, they lost to South Carolina 2 days ago. Other than that, they're undefeated on Sunday.
We will see a little bit of a shift in the rotation potentially this weekend for the Wildcats. Talking to Coach Hernandez earlier in the game, it will be the same 3 on the mound that we've seen. Luis Lipthrat, Nolan Santos, and Daniel Gaviria. May see Lipthrat bump to Sunday, with Gaviria go Saturday and Santos to start things off Friday. Of course, that's not set in stone quite yet. Be on the lookout for it this weekend.
We shall see as the Wildcats open SWAC play with a triple against Alabama State Hornets Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and another pitch misses outside. The Wildcats have struggled to find the strike zone in this inning and last inning as well, giving up 4 walks over the past 2 frames. The 1-0 skied into right. Olesen going to call off both Moya and Hodges and make the catch, and there's 2 away. That was Cam Ridley who flied out that time. Ridley still without a hit in the game. Walked and scored in the 7th, then popped out twice, struck out and grounded out. Here is Chris Armstrong. 2 hits in the game for him, a double in the first, and a single and scored last inning. Sandwiched in between that is a pop out to second and a strikeout. Strike 1 from Gonzalez. Gonzalez, a former Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference honorable mention as a sophomore before making his way to BCU last year. Now that is a mouthful.
These community colleges, man.
Swing and a miss at a fastball inside. You were saying during the break that he was hitting 96 against Florida State. Garnered some national attention.
Yep, always. He certainly has the stuff to compete with anybody at this level. He was throwing like that in preseason as well.
Ground ball up the middle. There's a base hit. This could be trouble. Flowers rounding third. He's going to go home as the throw goes to third. The throw goes over Tuero's head, and coming home is Malloy, and the Jacksonville Dolphins have an 8-7 lead.
Brutal break for the Wildcats.
Malloy scores from first on the wild throw by Chun.
That closes the book on Highland Hall. Faced one batter. Those runs will be charged to him after the pair of walks.
And so Armstrong is at third now. I think we're going to give him a double and then advance on the throw as that ball is in the air to right. Garcia goes back and makes the catch to end the inning, but the damage is done. 2 runs, 1 hit, 1 left, and the Highland Hall experiment ends with the Wildcats trailing for the first time since the 4th inning. It's now 8-7 Dolphins as we head to the bottom of the 8th right here on the Cat Eye Network. Back to the top of the order for the Wildcats. Luis Tuero leads off. He's had a rough game. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. But really needs the top of the order to get things going against new pitcher for Jacksonville, Jack Carver, the lefty out of Ponte Vedra, Florida, played at Nice High School. He's a junior at Jacksonville. Spent all 3 seasons of his college career with the Jaguars. He misses with his first pitch outside. The lefty deals. Chopped foul off the end of the bat by Tuero, and it's 1-1.
Tuero, one of only 2 Wildcats to not reach base safely tonight.
Carver has an 8.31 ERA in 4 1/3 innings pitched this season, and he skips that one in the dirt. It's 2-1. He's given up 8 hits, 11 runs, struck out 16, and walked 4. No, excuse me. He has allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, all earned, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Excuse me. I was reading the wrong line as that ball missed our window by about a foot.
Always a little scary up in this press box. A little rock back and forth.
Especially when you've got, camera equipment, audio gear, computers, iPads.
We are thankful for the cage, for the netting.
Swing and a miss on a breaking ball, and Tawero down again. And he will likely not get a chance to reach base tonight, it being the 8th. And now, Garrett Chun. Chun has been on base 3 times, singled in the first, flied out in the second, doubled and was stranded in the 4th, walked and scored in the 5th, and he takes a first pitch low. Carver, a season ago, appeared 16 times out of the bullpen. Only 14 1/3 innings pitched, struck out 19.
.6'1", 170 is Carver. Kind of a Chris Sale type build. Delivery isn't that different than Sale either. He's got the off arm angle.
He kind of does a little bit of a shoulder wiggle before he goes into his motion. He's missed 3 straight on the outside corner, and it's 3-0 to Chun.
His delivery isn't quite as ugly as Sale's.
The 3-0 pitch. Strike called on the outside corner, 3-1. And that's another one of those that I mentioned, that the outside corner to lefties has been inconsistent tonight.
All season. All season it's been like that.
That one way too far outside, and it's a 5-pitch walk for Chun, his second of the game. And the last time he was walked, he came around to score in the 6th. That's a 6th inning, remember, where he walked, Hall grounded out to move him up, and then Moya got him in with a base hit. And now here is Highland Hall, still playing designated hitter even after coming off the mound. And you wonder how his rough outing on the bump affected his confidence, if at all, or maybe tired him out a little bit, getting his arm working. So
alternatively, you could wonder how his lack of success at the plate tonight maybe affected his lack of confidence on the mound. It's tough to really see it translating, but it is baseball, fully mental game.
Hall hasn't reached base tonight, popped out twice and grounded out twice, but he's put the ball on bat every time. And he takes a pitch inside, 1-0. Wildcats led from the bottom of the 4th all the way to the top of the 8th, but a 5-run comeback by the Dolphins has given them an 8-7 lead here, trying to hold on for a non-conference victory and increase their record to 12-6. Great start to the season for the Dolphins, as they've only lost 1 series, and that was the opening series of the season to Kent State. 2-0, a strike on the inside corner, 2-1. Their other series, they swept Siena in a 4-game set, 2 out of 3 from Southeastern and 2 out of 3 from Bradley. Hall grounds that one foul outside of first. That pitch was in on the hands, and now 2-2. And that's a Southeastern Louisiana team that is no joke on the baseball diamond this year. Jacksonville took 2 of 3. Here's the 2-2 to Hall. He is punched out looking, and Highland Hall is not happy about it. Stares down home plate umpire Charles Reddick before eventually heading back to the dugout. He's still looking back at him.
Looked a bit low from our vantage point. It's always a little tough to tell from all the way up here, but Hall doesn't like it. Doesn't matter.
And now here is Robert Moya. 3 strikeouts to begin the game, and a base hit and an RBI in the 6th. And we would very much appreciate if he did that again, as we're going to have a meeting on the mound as the head coach Chris Hayes comes out to talk. Glad you're sticking with us as the broadcast has gotten a little long. We're going to have a new pitcher for the Dolphins. And it looks like either Chris Latito or Heston Mosley, and I'm not sure which one it is.
It'll be Latito, 19.
Latino, 7 1/3 innings pitched at 2.45 ERA. 5 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 6 walks and 9 strikeouts for him. And he will take over a Jacksonville team just needing 4 outs to get out of Jackie Robinson Ballpark with a comeback victory.
You know, Mike, as well as I do, that this one's all going to come down to the decision of starting Highland Hall to come out in the top of this inning. It's interesting. You see, you know, you could make the argument it's non-conference play. You try some things out. You get ready for conference play. It is what it is. But then you see Jacksonville prioritizing the win here, up by a run, quick to go to the pen, even with just the 1 runner on base, not flirting with any danger. So it'll be an interesting conversation with Coach Hernandez afterwards to see just kind of what the logic was, what this game meant to them, or maybe what it didn't mean to the Wildcats. But
Chris Latito, a sophomore from Middletown, New Jersey, not far from where my family is from. Played football and baseball in high school. It says here on his bio, can do a backflip. I wonder if he gets the last 4 outs of the ball game. We'll see one from Latito tonight.
That might be the worst possible outcome for the Wildcats tonight.
So, no backflips, please, Chris.
Would prefer not back. Maybe I would like to see a backflip. Oh, it's gotten a little sleepy here in the late innings. We'll take what we can get.
Yeah, we've slowed this game way down. We did the first 6 1/3 in an hour and 10 minutes, and the last 3 half innings have taken almost an hour. We're creeping up on 3 hours played in the ball game.
That is baseball.
Things tighten up in the later innings. Nobody wants to make that big mistake. And now with 2 down and Chun on first, here's Robert Moya. Moya struck out 3 times and then has a RBI single in the 6th. First pitch to Moya in the dirt, and consequentially the first pitch for Latito. The 1-0, check swing, ball in the dirt, Chun going to second, the ball goes into center field. And nice covering play by Ridley means that Chun will stay at second with a stolen base. And that's the second time we've seen catcher Hogan McIntosh fire one into center field on a stolen base attempt.
It's kind of what we've talked about a handful of times tonight. The Wildcats just threatening with a runner on base, putting guys in position, a little small ball. It's kind of what you need at the end of a game like this. Chun and the Wildcats, not necessarily a huge base stealing threat, but making you work for it out there.
And now a potential situation where a base hit by Moya brings home a run with the count 3-0 to Robert. And Latito has not thrown a strike yet after coming in for the bullpen. The 3-0 is in there for a strike. Moya taken all the way. The 3-1 is fouled away, and the count runs full to the South Florida kid, Robert Moya. He's had a rough night all around, both at the plate and at first base. Had a couple of wild pitches thrown his way wild throws his way at first. Moya skies this one foul into the Budweiser bullpen down the first base line.
Huge pitch here.
3-2, 2 out. Tying run at second for the Wildcats. Latito takes his time. Now toes the rubber. He winds and fires, and Moya chops it foul and will do it again.
It's always, when you're the pitcher, you start to get these long at-bats, some foul balls. Nothing good ever really seems to come of a long at-bat. See if Moya can stay patient, wait for his pitch.
Just gives the batter more chance to see your stuff, to see your arm action, your release point. Trying to work out where to swing. We'll do the 3-2 one more time. Latita fires. Strike 3, struck Moya out looking. He held back thinking it was going to be outside, and Reddick rung him up. No runs, no hits, 1 left. We head to the 9th. Wildcats trail by 1 right here on the Cat Eye Network. We head to the final frame here at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. The Jacksonville Dolphins lead the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats 8-7. The Wildcats 7 runs on 10 hits. The Dolphins 8 runs on 7 hits. Yohan Gonzalez still on the hill for Bethune-Cookman. Sees his first pitch fouled away by Justin Nadeau. Nadeau's had a really productive outing. Struck out in the first, walked and was stranded on third in the third. Singled and drove in a run in the 5th, and then singled and drove in 2 runs in the 7th. So he's got 3 RBIs tonight. Swing and a miss, and down goes Nadeau on strikes in short order. His second strikeout of the night. Here's Chandler Howard for the Dolphins. Jacksonville, no stranger to plating a lot of runs this season. They've got 133 as I do some math in my head. And that one's grounded to first. Moya has it bounce off his chest, but he does, in fact, flip it to Gonzalez for the out. And another really tough play for Moya. He's had a couple of those tonight. That one of his own making. The Dolphins, I just did some quick calculations on my calculator, have scored 7.8 runs per game. So they are right on their season average tonight. Swing and a miss, chopped foul into the glove of Braceras. This is Blake Delameler. Delameler's second appearance of the game, popped out to end the 7th after coming in relief of Ethan Campbell, who injured himself running the bases. after a pop-out.
If you're the Wildcats here, of course, you love a quick 1-2-3 inning from Gonzalez, get your guys back to the plate as soon as possible. But with the way he's throwing the ball, again, it all comes back to the decision to start Highland Hall at the start of the last inning with the way Pokey's throwing the ball.
Swing and a miss, and down on strikes goes Campbell. The Jacksonville Dolphins go 1-2-3 in the 9th inning with 2 strikeouts from Gonzalez. We go to the bottom of the 9th. The Cats need 1 to extend the game and 2 to win right here on the Cat Eye Network. Wildcats need something to go here. Quick defensive substitution for the Dolphins. Johnny Bardich is now playing second base in place of Justin Nadeau. And now Boris Pena leads off for the Wildcats in the 9th. They need 1 to tie, 2 to win. And he fouls the first pitch off of the count 0-1. The pitcher is still Seton Hall transfer Chris Latito. Pena has been on base 3 out of his 4 plate appearances tonight as he takes a pitch outside the count 1-1. Pena singled and scored in the 2nd, singled and was stranded in the 3rd, walked and scored in the 5th, and then struck out looking in the 6th. The Wildcats have been set down on strikes 6 times since the 6th inning. Before that, just 3 Ks.
Bottom of the lineup has had some success for him tonight.
Pena rockets that one to left, and that one gets down in front of Flowers. So Boris Pena leads off the crucial 9th inning for the Wildcats with his 3rd base hit of the game. And there's 1 aboard with nobody out. And here is George Braceras.
Sneaky big play by the left fielder Flowers out there. Tracked the ball well. It's so hard hit. I thought it might have a chance to bounce over his head. And if you do that, of course, it spells disaster. But he made the play.
Pinch running. Malik Stevens is going to pinch run at first.
I would be stunned if we don't see a stolen base attempt here. That was the Malik Stevens recipe last year. He led off for the Wildcats most of the season.
He is probably the fastest guy on this Wildcat lineup. And also we're going to see a double change as coming in to pinch hit is Irvin Escobar.
Escobar, of course, the all-SWAC catcher.
He will bat in the 6th spot and replaces his catching counterpart, George Braceras. Tying run at first. He represents the winning run. He squares to bunt. He pops it up, diving in, and in camp making the play is Latito. The catcher, McIntosh, throws to first for the out. So he's out 2-3. The runner, Stevens, advances. And I'm interested why you bring in a guy with a bunch of power and then have him bunt. And then that's the second time we've seen a Wildcat bunt pop straight in the air and a Dolphin player missed the ball on a dive. The first baseman, Weterow, missed one back in the 5th. And then now the pitcher, Latito, missed one. Now I'm interested to see, we have Jason Hodges here. I'm wondering if he's going to square to bunt as well to try and move Stevens to third. He doesn't. He swings and misses at a fastball low and away, and it's 0-1.
It's about the ugliest sacrifice bunt, but does the same job as the prettiest one you've ever seen. Thought the better route would have been to go for the steal, but either way.
Chop foul, 0-2, and now Hodges in a tough spot. Hodges singled in the second, was stranded on third, reached on an error and scored in the 4th, and then walked and scored in the 5th.
I don't think we'll see Malik Stevens attempt a steal of third here. He did have a steal of home last season at Florida, so he's been known to risk it in stranger situations than this, but of course you don't want to get caught on the base paths now.
Reminds me of the World Baseball Classic, the opening game between Korea and Australia. Korea was down 2. They chose to steal with 2 outs in the 9th, got caught on the base paths, and that was it.
It hurts worse when it's on the base paths.
And Australia pulled off a couple of big upsets, and they're moving on to the quarterfinals for the first time ever. The 0-2. Upstairs from Latito. And it's 1-2. Big spot here for Jason Hodges. Hodges, the junior from Park Forest, Illinois. And he chops this one. Barely got any contact on it. It's foul. And we'll do the 1-2 again. The transfer from John A. Logan College, and then before that, Arkansas. So he's got high major ability. Can he perform in a big spot here in the 9th? The 1-2. He rung him up on strike 3, and Hodges knew it. Hodges doesn't take the bat off the shoulder. It's the 5th strikeout for Latito. And now the Wildcats are down to the final out. Here's Jeremy Garcia. Garcia reached on a fielder's choice bunt in the 1st. Singleton scored in the 4th. Singleton was stranded on 3rd in the 5th. So he has 2 hits today. He did ground out in the 7th. And a base hit required to keep the game moving. Latito on track for the 6-out save.
Funny enough, the Wildcats have had their most success here tonight and this afternoon when they are aggressive early in the count, swinging early. We talked about it early on, and the game has grinded to a halt since they've kind of been more patient.
1-0 is a strike, and the count 1-1. Swung on and grounded outside of 3rd. And the heart leaps with every click of bat against ball, as it might be in play or it might be the end of the game.
Olsen on set to bat next if Garcia can get it there.
Latito backs off the mound. Wildcats down to their last strike. He stretches the arms out, now toes the rubber. Righty lefty the 1-2. Swung on it, hit high in the air to left. Flowers moving over in foul territory and over the pitcher's mound that is used for warming up the bullpen. He makes the catch, and the Jacksonville Dolphins come from behind. They score the final 5 runs of the game over the final 3 innings to steal one from the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, 8-7.
It's a kick in the teeth for the Wildcats. Their final tune-up before SWAC play. Again, I hate to keep harping on it, but you have to wonder what happens if Highland Hall doesn't appear to start that 8th inning. Led to the 2 runs for the Dolphins that ultimately took the lead. But thus is the choice that head coach Jonathan Hernandez made, and that'll result in a loss here for the Wildcats. Kind of one you just need to shake off as quickly as possible so that you can get ready for a huge, huge series this weekend against Alabama State.
A series that might very well decide the SWAC East, at least for the regular season, and you know, it's the first conference series of the year. Prediction-wise, those are the 2 best teams in that division.
At the very least, it'll set the tone for maybe what we can expect early on in conference season. A long conference season, of course, so no one series will define anything. The Wildcats swept Jackson State to open conference series last year. It'll be alumni weekend for the Wildcats, inviting players of the past to come out and enjoy some ticket specials, some food and beverage specials. Of course, if you're interested, you can find all that information at bcuathletics.com or via Ticketmaster. Got some flyers out there in the internet space.
Just wrapping this game up here for Jacksonville. 8 runs on 7 hits. They made 3 errors and left 8 on base. For Bethune-Cookman, 7 runs on 11 hits, 3 errors and left 9 on base. And again, runners left on base comes back to hurt BCU again.
It's been an issue early and often this season. You know, you point out little runners here, there, runner strain on third early in this game. When it comes down to 1 or 2 runs like that, every little one counts, and it'll certainly sting for the Wildcats. It's something they'll have to improve on significantly if they really want to make a deep run in the SWAC this season.
The winning pitcher, I believe, is Carver. Unless the stats tell us differently.
That would be my guess as well.
So that would take Carver's record to 1-0, getting him his first decision of the year. I think they're going to saddle Highland Hall with the loss, as his 2 runs were the 7th and 8th runs for the Jacksonville Dolphins to let them take the lead, and those runs were credited to him as they were his base runners, even though Yohan Gonzalez was the man on the hill when they scored.
With an 0 for 5 at the plate, you just got to hope, if you're Coach Hernandez and the Wildcats, that it doesn't affect his confidence going into SWAC play. Guy who's going to be huge for them all season, a pivotal part of the core of the lineup. Maybe after night, hopefully not a core part of the bullpen, but certainly see what happens.
The Wildcats dropped to 8-9, 8-4 at home. They dropped their second home non-conference game in as many weeks. They didn't do Longwood last week. The Jacksonville Dolphins improved to 12-6. Great start for them. They are 3-0 away from John Sessions Stadium on the campus of Jacksonville University. That'll be it for us here from Jackie Robinson Ballpark. For Bryce Wojnowski, my name is Michael Torello. Thank you so much for listening along with us all night long. We'll be back here on Friday for the start of conference play as the Wildcats take on the Alabama State Hornets. Thank you for watching, and have a very pleasant good evening.